What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 293. It is a fantastic Sunday here. It's beautiful outside. We got a lot of news and games to talk about. It's gonna be a good one today. I'm feeling it, boys. I'm feeling it.
I just love it's beautiful outside. Let's talk about some indoors activities.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Rodriguez, rocking the believe. Look, we're actually synced up today. I like it, sir.
That's what I do.
Appreciate the lasso love.
Totally, yeah. Totally planned out. 100%. 100%. I was like, I'm going to throw this on today. It wasn't just the next shirt in line.
On the rack.
Yeah, pretty much.
I have this up every day when I'm working, but I usually switch it out for something game related. I didn't feel like it today. It's just, we got that ESP Kansas City thing going on with Jason Sudeikis. You know what I mean? It works.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso is in video games, man.
Heck
they put him in FIFA.
I created him in PGA. He's my golfer. I mean, to a T. It looks exactly like him. Yeah, it's good stuff. Mr. Travis, with the ties.
Clunky.
How we doing?
Clunky. Doing all right. How is everybody else doing on this Bound Sweet Pokemon Go Community Day?
What?
Yeah, exactly. You're not even on my level, Ains. Get with it.
No, I'm not.
Sunday, everybody.
What the hell's Bound Sweet?
Is there some kind of Pokemon Go event today, Travis?
Yeah, it's Pokemon Go Community Day. Come on. Everybody knows this.
I'm happy to be informed.
What is Bound Sweet? I still don't have an answer.
Pokemon, bro. I don't know. Get with it.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
They still play Pokemon Go in my neighborhood. So this is how I was informed of this. There's a whole lot of them.
There were kids running through your backyard, and you're like, "What are you
doing?"
Kids?
A ton of money.
Not just kids, adults. The guy who there's a plumbing store across the street, and the guy smokes in front of the plumbing store, and he plays Pokemon Go. I see him when I jog by him, and I'm like, damn, like if that guy's playing Pokemon Go, they're doing all right.
I just like the notion that the San Francisco homeless or whoever are playing Pokemon Go on their cell phones.
Yeah,
and that's Travis's life.
Priorities.
Probably, yeah. You gotta no food, no shelter, but you get a cell phone. Mark Zuckerberg hands it to you personally, I believe, is the policy here.
Nice.
So it's nice.
I think you guys need to rethink things a little bit out there.
I don't think so.
You can control a gym. You can control a gym.
Yeah,
that's right, dude. I think we're crushing it.
Mr. Legality himself, Hogue, how we doing?
I am doing well, Ains. I had a good week. I had a productive week, which my therapist doesn't like me to say, but I am ready to talk about video games and all of the non-controversial news items that you have to bring to our attention today.
That's right. Anything but college football, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Xbox. We've got Wall Street Journal of all places reporting about Call of Duty on Game Pass, which we obviously talked about last week, but we'll kind of touch on that. They opened up a new AAA studio out of the blue. We'll talk about that. Of course, we got some Ubisoft news with Assassin's Creed coming back and controversy just because people love controversy for no reason. We've got 2K fiscal report, obviously commenting on GTA 6 and some stuff at Summer Game Fest. We've got college football. Yes, we'll touch on it, boys. And a few other things to get to, too. I did want to mention it's the 9th anniversary today. I don't know if that's right, actually. It's May. Did it release in May? But anyway, CD Projekt Red said it is, so I'm going to go ahead and trust them. 9th anniversary of Witcher 3 releasing today. One of the all-time GOATs. Shout out to... honestly, it might be my favorite game of all time. It's right there.
Definitely came out in May.
I thought it was March, but yeah.
For many delays. Yeah.
I don't know why I wouldn't trust CD Projekt Red, but I guess, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
I remember because I got nothing done that month except for Witcher. So it stands out in my mind.
Yeah, I didn't play it on release. I was like a year in almost because I played The Witcher 2 and it sucked.
What?
I
Oh
my
God.
It was so bad. I mean, compared to The Witcher 3, it's not even close. I mean, I've never played like two different, games of the same series.
Oh, you should play the first one if you think that they're different.
No.
Yeah, I heard the first one's like really.
You've never played it?
No.
Oh my God. The
first one is solid, but it is well past your design functions in 2024, right? It is early PC RPGing.
They're remaking it.
I think both. Yeah, they should. That game.
They are remaking it.
That game needs a remake, actually. But yeah, the first and second Witcher are like easily not AAA games. I'd say that they're at best AA, and then Witcher 3 just made that huge leap. So, yeah,
I know that all the hardcore kind of Witcher guys, who do the books and all that, as well. Many of them feel that Witcher 2 has the better story.
Witcher 2 is the strongest.
Confirmed, without question.
Yeah,
I've read
2 of the books, but not all of them.
I think it has the most player choice too. Like your entire second act is different depending on which choice you make at the end of the first act. Like different locations, different main characters. Like it's pretty nuts. So, Witcher 2 is great game.
It's Witcher 3 is also one I think people forget because Cyberpunk obviously did it worse. But Witcher 3 launched, fantastic game at launch, but it did have bugs, did have issues they had to work through, and let's not forget they also completely changed the UI just like they did in Cyberpunk. Like that UI that it launched with was not there. I think like a year and a half later or whatever the timing was.
They changed a bunch of stuff. You had to keep the books in a separate thing, and now there's tabs for the reading. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they fixed in Witcher 3, and they called those free patches after the release, which is what folks thought they were going to get with Cyberpunk. They didn't wind up doing that because there was so much kind of more foundational stuff that they needed to fix there. But
they did actually. They the 2.0 version of Cyberpunk basically it has a new UI. Remember we were all talking about that?
No, I think Hogue means the little DLC additions they made to Witcher 3, like little add-ons that they were going to do that for Cyberpunk, but they just had bigger issues to tackle. Yeah,
they did. And yeah, Cyberpunk 2.1. I enjoy. That's the way I would have hoped it would release. The fact that it didn't obviously cost CD Projekt a ton of time and resources, but Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games.
Reputational capital.
Certainly. We'll see if it costs them reputational capital. You'll see what the sales of the next game. I doubt it at this point.
I was going to say Cyberpunk sales are just continue to go. It's starting to get a tail like Witcher 3 did. And Phantom Liberty was excellent. So
if anything, gamers might be too generous with release strategies as a group in a market, because I don't think that their CD Projekt Red is going to be punished very much for the way it originally released.
Maybe not, but I mean, they're at the time post Witcher 3, before Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red was like the poster child of the internet. Like every gamer loved them, and now it's kind of split, man. And you could view this in the IGN comment sections if you want. I would like to cite the YouTube comments on any video, even slightly related to Witcher. It seems like there's definitely a section of people that are like,
that have allergies. You're true.
Yeah,
right?
Section of people that do.
Those are actually the most cogent IGN comments.
Yeah, there's a sneeze. The comments and sneeze.
Yeah, but we'll see. They've obviously got a few things in the works right now. I'm very curious to see what they do with the IP in the future, because they are working on the new Witcher title and supposedly working on the Witcher 1 remake as well. So we'll see how those land.
We got Dragon Age.
Well, yeah, we'll see about Dreadwolf 2. I'm hoping we see that here in a few weeks. We'll see.
We're supposed to, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Tide Picks this morning, and she went Call of Duty, and the AI was generous this morning because they gave me hair. I don't know why. I look like Chris Pike, but there we are.
Oh, man, I am totally the guy you talk to learn about your weapons and then gets murdered to establish a dangerous place.
Yeah, you're getting killed in that first encounter, Hogue. That's a guarantee.
I have so many scars, man. What happened, man? Honestly, like, come on, I'm in a war,
my friend.
I'm in a war. I'm not flying a drone. Like, this AI doesn't know me at all. Come on, man.
I want to say that's Travis in San Francisco 2030. That's what it's coming to right there.
For sure. I also
protecting the crabs.
And Dan's apparently in Death Stranding. Like, why is your face all inked over like a squid hit you or something?
It's my camo, man.
Camouflage. He went full Rocky. Just
I gotta say, I love the hair, Ains.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've got that kind of spiked up with the peak and the receding corners. It's a look, all right.
They know you got that widow's peak before you went bald. They protected it. It's pretty good.
Looks actually more like my brother. That's what happened to him.
Hogue, again, I think the AI is biased for you. You always have the glow ups. It's honestly, I don't know what Against the Tide is doing, but they must just have these glamour shots of you, just that they're
just how I
feeding this
look,
AI.
Travis. It's just how I look.
And I'm getting all these troll goblin photos of me uploaded. It's horrifying.
I tell you what, I think I have flattering lighting on in this particular AI shot. But otherwise,
dude, look at your jaw. They gave you, dude.
That's just how I look. See?
Yeah. Okay, bro.
All right, Tide, thank you as always. Appreciate you. And then just before we get to kind of games, let's get caught up on these super chats. So we had another one. So Don came in super early again. I can see it on YouTube. I can't see it on the application here, so I can't put it on the screen. But he did give us a super chat last night, $20 super chat. And he said, good morning, Bitcast. He said, that's Bitcast, not before Christ. I don't know why he wrote that. He said, Travis, I love Greedfall.
Great game.
He said, please tell us everything you possibly can about your preview in detail. Thank you.
I will do that. Do you want me to do it now or when we get to currently?
No, let's hold that, Don. So just hold that thought for just a couple minutes while we get through these super chats, and then we'll talk about that with the game. So Dan, putting these up for you, starting with our good friend, Mr. Stingray X.
Yeah, with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Stingray. What has been your favorite COD and why? As always, gents, take care.
I got one. I can answer this one.
Go.
Infinite Warfare is my favorite by far.
Lol.
Wow. That's the COD community is that's a very unpopular opinion in the COD community.
He just likes Kid Harington, dude. He's a Kid Harington super fan.
He's a kid fanboy.
Dude, he's got a Kid Harington glamour shot on the ceiling above his bed, in his bedroom.
It's just posters of him in Pompeii.
Yeah.
And Infinite Warfare.
Pompeii. I forgot about that. That movie was terrible.
I mean, Infinite Warfare's campaign is super strong. I actually really enjoy it. I like Infinite Warfare a lot, but
I don't care so much about the multiplayer. I played zombies. I played campaign of Infinite Warfare. That was the one I liked the best.
Fair enough. I think for me, I got to go Modern Warfare 2. That's just the one, when COD really kind of took over as the number one played multiplayer, right? Modern Warfare 1 and Halo 3 were obviously 2007, but then they came back with Modern Warfare 2, and as broken as it was in multiplayer half the time in terms of like kill streaks and everything else, it was chaos. The campaign was excellent, and the what do you call it? The multiplayer just took over, right? In terms of kind of like most played, everyone was playing it. And it was just one of those moments in kind of multiplayer history, which I love, of course, that stands out at that period in time in 2009. I think Modern Warfare 2 was, if I remember correctly.
Man, I play a lot of COD. Probably the first Modern Warfare. That was probably the one that got me into big online gaming. And actually, Modern Warfare 2 got me out of it. Kind of started that trajectory away from playing with people online. Man, we had like a clan. We had, I was with these other guys. It was BWA, Better with Age. That was our clan tag.
And that was 15 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
You're even better now.
Yeah, and I mean, we had all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that was. I mean, the campaign, the multiplayer is probably what I played the most. And then I think what was after that, World at War. I was just kind of like, And then Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, because that was the first zombies, I think.
2008. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Modern Warfare 2, it just something switched. And I was just like, nope, not doing this anymore. Tired of these 12-year-old kids. All my mom names.
With their Twitch skills.
12-year-old kids. Are there any 12-year-old non-kids?
12-year-old kids.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, maybe there was. Depends on how young you are at heart, Travis. You never know. Yeah. Maybe they just looked like they were 12 years old.
A young at heart.
You saw them. You saw photos. They were exchanging photos on Call of Duty.
That's another reason I have to leave.
No.
This is how you get in trouble.
No. Don't even put that in the algorithm.
He saw them. He says he saw them.
No.
Is he pulling down a framed photo?
No, this is look at this. This is my old mug here. Clan member.
They did like mugs and everything, huh?
Oh, we had all kinds of stuff. We did stuff for like what the hell did we do? Like charities, and we sent like care packages, like to the troops overseas, and we did all
that's
kinds
cool.
of stuff.
That's
yeah,
cool.
we had a pretty big following.
Then
they went to hell.
You used to do those things too.
Yeah, but it was fun. And now and then that ended. So thanks, Call of Duty. You suck.
Yeah.
I can never play you again.
Well, I think Call of Duty
you
now
choose not to.
Call of Duty is just a multiplayer series that happens to have a couple hours of campaign put on it now. So it left me long ago. But like Infinite Warfare was a real campaign.
It was.
And that's my favorite of the series.
Yeah.
Travis, I played that one. That was a bit.
Oh, sorry, Tim.
I'm gonna go with Call of Duty Black Ops 2010.
The first Black Ops, yeah. That's usually a favorite among the community. Yeah.
I think that one is sweet spot.
It's a good
really good campaign, multiplayer hit for me. I'm not a huge Call of Duty guy, but I think that was probably my favorite overall. If I'm taking all of the different the full suite into account.
Yeah. I still remember playing Call of Duty 2 when the 360 released, and that was like mind blowing at the time.
Well, back when it was historical.
Yeah, World War II. Yeah.
Which we're going back to, I guess.
Gulf War.
World War II, but we're going historical. Gulf War. I still think it's
weird.
Never
stop going historical.
I still think it's weird. Who are they casting as Saddam? I need to know. The world needs to know. Also, he gets away.
Probably Chris Pratt.
We already know the ending.
Chris Pratt.
Outside of Ains saying Gulf War, I've not heard this anywhere else. So I'll just assume that Ains knows what's going on.
I don't definitively know, of course. I'm not claiming to.
Oh, this hasn't been officially announced. This is just
it's just it's been kind of a known thing for a few months. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Call of Duty official announcement right now is currently listed as redacted. Remember?
Yes, correct.
And that isn't even confirmed as Call of Duty, except that it is.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be called Call of Duty Redacted.
I would love that. That was my response to that original tweet of the Xbox showcase. Was I'm okay if you call it redacted.
That's the name of the campaign, probably.
That's just the status of the campaign.
Redacted.
Googleman.
Googleman with the €5. The new Assassin's Creed trailer sure looks amazing, and they even managed to add a playable character in heavy armor that uses a big club. So sneaky. Yes.
I tell you what, if they do get behind you with that big club, you're not going to know it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. Should be no problem with the giant clanky samurai.
Don't you do that. Don't you do that.
Hope's taking us to places I didn't expect today.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
And trust me, you will know it. Googleman, thank you as always. Appreciate you. Luke.
Yeah, we're getting off track here. Luke from the Xbox Expansion Pass, $5 super chat. Thank you to Ains for the constant support.
Of course, brother. Of course. Luke and I. Luke is
child support, of course. They have a.
We co-parent.
They co-parent.
True. Yeah, we do.
I'm the kid. I'm the
child. We co-parent Joe actually. So yeah, trophy room's our baby. You know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah. But no, Luke and I will meet for the first time in LA. He's going. We got plans. A whole bunch of us getting together out there in a few weeks, so it should be fun. First time Luke and I will be meeting, despite having done shows together for several years now. So
that's true of most of the people in this video as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'll never meet Hogue on principle.
Hey, started with the member comment. Surprise flash question for everyone. What's the longest break you've taken from a game that you went on to finish? That's a good question.
It's got to be more than a year for me.
Oh, easily.
You know what? I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but I started on the PlayStation. I played maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and then I didn't play it again until it came out on Xbox.
That's a few years. Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably, and then I finished it there. So.
But that's a restart, right? Like I've restarted a lot of games and then had a finishing run of those games. But in terms of like just picking up where I left off, that's rarer for me, but it's probably a year and a half or more.
It's not Xenoblade 3, I can tell you that much.
It sure isn't.
No, because I restarted Xenoblade, but yeah, I'm playing it.
But do those restarts ever result in a finish? Because I would say that counts.
I don't know what
Well,
mine
if
is
that
here.
does
I can't
count, then
look
it's probably like 5 years or something. Because I'll pick up games that I played through a little bit and start them over again.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is here. I don't have a
that's
clue,
tough question.
honestly.
All right,
Stuff.
I'm gonna look this up because I
Are you
actually
gonna look it up?
I don't know what day this game came out because I beat a game last year. Yeah, so I beat a game last year in 2023 that came out in 2003. So it took me 20 years to beat a game. The game was Gladius, so LucasArts games. I always really loved that game, but I just never had the time to finish it. And then I went back and I beat it 20 years later because it was on my mind. I was like, I kind of want to replay that game, and I beat it.
That's not a good review schedule. That's
It
not
really
gonna work out
isn't.
too
Yeah,
well.
I'm.
No.
This is what happens when I'm not given a game to review. Is I prioritize it in the 20 years pipeline. I think another game I've actually never beaten that's on my list this year to beat is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, a game I've put hundreds of hours into, but I never beat the campaign because the campaign is hella long, and I don't know how it ends. And so I have this, you know how on Xbox you can make groups.
Mhm.
I have a group called Aspirational Games, which is like a game I want to beat at some point, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is on there. So I'm actually planning on beating that game this year when I've got a little bit of time. So 20 years is my answer.
All right. There you go. Sard has another question or comment, I should say. Excuse me.
Yep. Shout out to CDPR. Their blunder with Cyberpunk 2077 is how I found Hogue, and my life is better for it.
Oh, thank you.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Everyone's life is better with a little Hogue in it.
Ew, didn't like the way that came out.
Nope.
Phrasing.
Did not enjoy that
Phrasing.
Shout out to Sard, by the way, who is our newest contributor at Season Gaming, and her first article, first official article as becoming a member of Season Gaming, will be going up tomorrow. Actually, an opinion article.
Really?
So, yes.
Hogue, I think we just found the text for your Valentine's Day card to Mrs. Hogue this year.
Stop it.
I would love a little better with a little Hogue in it.
Mr. Seeds.
Detective Seeds with a $49.99 super chat. Thank you, Detective Seeds. Some singles for our LA Boom Boom Room trip. All right.
Yeah, Seeds. Thank you very much. Very generous, my friend. Yeah, Seeds will be out there as well. Obviously, you may recall we've tried to have him guest a few times. It's had, sadly, not the best consequences each time. Major things have happened, so he hasn't been able to be on.
The seeds have not grown.
Well, we want to stop killing off his family members when we invite him to the Bitcast. So
it's not
my
good.
bad.
So anyway, yes, it'd be nice to meet Seeds this week in a few weeks as well. So thank you, my friend. All right, let's get into it. So real quick, because obviously I can't talk about it this week, it'll be next week, is Hellblade 2. So I can obviously now say, we couldn't say till Thursday that, officially that we had it and all that. But yeah, I'm reviewing Hellblade 2, finished it on Friday, and the review embargo, which I can say now, is actually Tuesday at 4 a.m. Eastern. So you'll see our review and obviously a bunch of outlets reviews go up early in the morning on Tuesday. Can't say anything else at the moment, so we will talk more about it next week. But mostly that's what I played this past week, so I don't have a whole lot to talk about otherwise. But Travis, you did a preview of a game that people are interested in. Don posted a super chat about it, so let us know about Greedfall 2.
Yeah, I can finally tell you about Greedfall 2, a game that I previewed way back in GDC. I played it when they visited San
January,
Francisco.
right?
No, it was like April. No, today's March. Say it March, somewhere in March.
Okay.
So yeah, I played it like 2 months ago. What is time? Yeah, I played this game at GDC. The delayed in the it was supposed to debut a long time ago, but it is a early game that is still being developed, and sometimes capturing B-roll is tricky. So that's what the delay was. But yeah, I can finally talk about it. The game is called Greedfall 2: The Dying World. It was announced, I believe, last year. It's made by a very well-known AA studio called Spiders, that is based in France, I believe. and they are sort of a BioWare superfan studio. They model a lot of their games off of BioWare's work. They've been really open about their love of BioWare as a studio and inspiration for a lot of their games. You can see this in some of their RPGs that go like the Mass Effect-ish route, like the Technomancer was one some people remember. And then Greedfall 1, which came out in 2019, I believe.
Like the First World War, it's just called Greedfall.
Yeah, just called Greedfall. Is the Great Fall. It's that game came out in 2019 and is sort of modeled off of the Dragon Age series, I think is the one that they mentioned there. So I say that in purely its format, right? Not so much in its world building. Its world building in Greedfall is extremely unique. If you never played this one, there's a lot of people out there like you who have not played or heard of Greedfall too much, but it takes place in kind of like it's almost like a colonial America, right? Or the European.
It's the New World, yes.
Yeah, European.
However you think about that in your head, it's the New World.
European-ish country has discovered the New World, aka an unconquered land that actually already has a native people there, except for there is magic and monsters and mystery and some cool, really well-developed factions that are vying for power on that new continent. And it's a very weird and unique game. And the sequel continues that story. You're playing from the perspective of a native in this land that uses magic and has sort of a very interesting history that I won't spoil. And the big change that I highlight in my preview is that whereas the first game was sort of competing in that third person action adventure space with some what I would describe as pretty underwhelming kind of hack and slash third person combat, the sequel decided that they are going to pivot and sort of change to Dragon Age Origins like semi real time combat. So this is gameplay where you click on powers and it sort of adds them to a queue, similar to like Star Wars, The Old Republic,
like Infinite Wealth type thing.
No, that because that game is fully kind of turn based. This is like where you can pause it and then queue up a bunch of actions and then play, and then it does that. It kind of has like an action bar that you're filling up. And it is very much like kind of how Dragon Age Origins played in that regard. And it kind of has the same format, right? You're making party members, you're creating social links with those people. You guys are going on an epic adventure together. Things probably don't go as planned. You got skill points and leveling up and stuff like that. And the demo I played was from the beginning part of the game. And it was a good time. It's cool to see them basically say like, look, we know we probably can't compete with the really crowded and competitive third person action game, but we think we can do this other thing that feels very different. There aren't a lot of games being made that are like this these days. And it kind of gives it an old school feel that I think is cool. And
killing me by calling Dragon Age Origins old school.
Dragon Age Origins is old school.
It is not old school. Dragon Age Origins is the new school for the old school of the Baldur's Gate games,
also known as old school. It's I had fun with it, and it is coming to early access this year. At GDC, they told me it was going to come to early access in the summer. I don't know if that's still the plan, just based on how long the preview took and the delays there. But I imagine still this year it's going to be in early access. And the interesting thing about that is this is Spiders' first early access game. They've not done this before, and so I think they're one of the many studios that seems to sort of be taking cues from the success of Baldur's Gate 3 and the early access model there that sort of really helped them. So it should be interesting to see how that turns out. But yeah, if you like really creative, weird games, this is definitely one to keep an eye on, as I know you are fans of.
Well, I love Greedfall. Greedfall was one of my top 10 games of the year it released. I want to say 2018. But I think people should be aware of Spiders' work, right? You said that they were a big AA team. They are a team that I really like because they are constantly trying new things. They're constantly trying big ideas. I would say more often than not, their reach does exceed their grasp. And so you got to know that going in, that the stuff that they try is usually very interesting. And Greedfall, the first one, I think is the best implementation that they've ever had of their kind of model, but they do not have the resources of an Electronic Arts. They are not BioWare. They are not Obsidian. They try to do things that are of a similar stripe and largeness in terms of epic scope and plotting. But just in order to set expectations correctly, it will probably be a little bit less epic than you're thinking of if you think of a BioWare game when they're on their game or something like that. So I really like Spiders. I really like Greedfall 1. But it did have issues with like assets and places of interest repeating and smallish dungeons and things like that. So I would expect that it will again be kind of a Dragon Age Origins, but smaller for Greedfall 2. I'm not sure I love that direction, but I didn't love the combat in Greedfall 1 anyway. So any change is probably a good one, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk about Greedfall when it released for that reason. It's like they're trying to be the new kind of BioWare. That was said a lot. And I have Greedfall. I want to say maybe 5 hours, but didn't grab me like that. So I'm interested to see if this one does. Did you talk about a release date? Did I miss it?
Just the early access date. They usually you get an early access date and you don't know you don't really have a good idea of when the game is going to come out. But yeah, their plan was early access this summer, and I'm not sure if that's still the plan, but I would imagine this year probably.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was looking at my notes and I went off the end there. So I wanted to quickly mention, I know Hogue will jump in here too, but we were talking before the show about Diablo 4 Season 4.
Yes.
So I did, having finished Hellblade, I would like to get to some Diablo 4 Season 4 and get back to it. I did just put maybe a couple hours tops in yesterday when I could last night. It's the first time I've played it since Season 1. So I had a lot of catching up to do and trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I went back to my Eternal Realm, Druid that was like a level 15 and started playing. But yeah, it's pretty noticeable, some of the loot changes right out of the gate. I haven't played enough yet to really kind of know, obviously I haven't done the late game stuff or the Hell Tides or anything like that. So I've got a lot to go yet. But, it's nice getting back to it. I was quickly reminded how much I love that game. And I think that I did watch, if you didn't see it, they have an 8-minute video on the Diablo YouTube talking about the changes to loot and the Hell Tides in the realm specifically. So if you want a quick catch up of what's happened, I would suggest that video because that's what I watched this week. So, but I know Hogue, you were playing it as well. I know we talked previously around kind of concerns around whether the loot redesign would be too simple, not simple enough. Where they walk that line. So, how are you feeling about it at the moment?
Yeah, so first of all, I really like this season. I really like the changes that they made to Diablo 4. And yes, I think my stance on this in the full background is that I really love Diablo 4. I was one of us that played it the most since it released. I have some huge amount of days on the Microsoft counter for me playing Diablo 4. But I was concerned that when you take a game and you change it as much as they were suggesting they were going to change for Season 4, that it would lose some of the Diablo 4 flavor, whatever it is that I like, whatever was working for me. And it would go away. And I'm very happy to say that so far, at least in Season 4, I have played the first 30 levels or so of a new character in a new campaign because I wanted to try out everything from the beginning for this kind of loot redesign. And it both feels like it used to in terms of Diablo 4 and has clear changes to the way the loot works that I think are ultimately going to be pretty smart. Now, it's actually more streamlined than I thought it would be. And so some of the lessons that I learned in terms of evaluating loot and going through the various lines and deciding which I wanted are wasted now. It's not used anymore in the new loot design. It's really more focused on one aspect or one benefit per piece of loot that you can just kind of directly compare to each other. And they streamlined a lot of the resource management that I don't know that I love. There used to be herbs and things that you would get from different regions that would go into different elixirs and things. And those have all been collapsed into a single herb bundle, regardless of what plant you find. And so all the elixirs tend to cost the same in terms of herbs. And I think they also collapsed metals and leathers and things. So anything like collecting economy that you would have enjoyed of particularly hunting things or finding things in the world, seems to have been collapsed down and streamlined. So there is a little bit less what I would consider an aspect of world building in the new model. But I suspect that the feedback they were getting is that people didn't much like that world building or going into those different regions. And so they streamlined it. And so I don't really have a problem there. The tempering, which is essentially what used to be affixes and moving them between pieces of goods, have been changed to getting recipes that you now can then put on any given piece of your loot that you want is better. It's a more fun system to engage with. Although I did roll crowd control damage like 6 times in a row yesterday, and it made me sad. But that's just the nature of these things. And so I do think that that's more engaging, and it's introduced earlier than some of the affect stuff would have been. So where you would have had some of those decisions made in like the level 40s, let's say, or 50s and beyond, obviously. Now it's kind of introduced early on in like level 15, I would say, or so.
Oh yeah, I did a tempering yesterday at 16. Yep.
Yeah, so it's much earlier that you're having these kinds of thought processes and discussions about what your build is going to be. I think the people that don't like the build tree as it stands and says there's only certain ways to go through these build trees are probably still not going to be too happy. You're not in the kind of PoE 2 type level of build crafting in Diablo 4. I tend to like that. I like what Diablo 4 represents versus Path of Exile or some of the more complicated games. But I have already heard from folks like my brother who said that this loot is better, but it doesn't solve his issue with kind of wanting some of that min-max build crafting that he likes out of an action RPG. That said, the fact that they did this and I still enjoy the game and it still scratches that itch for what I liked about Diablo 4, I think is a big win for me.
Yeah, they're never going to walk that. Excuse me, not never. The ARPG developers like Grinding Gear Games, right, and like Blizzard and the others, it's impossible to please everyone with build crafting. It just is. It's going to be too deep for some on one end of the spectrum, too shallow for others on another end, and there's plenty of people in between. I live a little bit probably towards the deeper aspect, but not as much as some people. Path of Exile is great. It's an incredible ARPG that's been tuned over a decade now, but I do get a little annoyed with some of the gem system in that game, the way they do loot with the sockets and the gemming like that. I do much prefer the Diablo way of just finding loot. And, you know, as long as Diablo has been going since the mid 90s, whenever Diablo 1 first came out, yesterday,
you know, 90s,
yeah, it's obviously a very long time. And, you know, yesterday I started back on my druid and I did a little dungeon thing and I beat the boss and I got my first legendary drop on that character because I was only at 15 or 16. And it was like a nice two-handed, you know, staff, which was a huge upgrade. And then I did the tempering for the first time and I rolled, it was a 30 to 50% damage boost. I rolled a 48% damage boost. And I was like,
there you go. Feels good, man.
So, yeah, I know. And those moments, right, are what Diablo captures so well. When you get that, it's like that addictive drop loot hunt, and it just refreshes, you know, every time you play. There's always something that you can kind of hit. So I think that's great. We got a few of our Diablo hardcores. Shout out to Bomber, Katie, Lucius in the chat. But I've heard a lot of good things. I think a lot of people are enjoying it. So they're definitely on the right track.
Aimed at more of those feels good man moments, and I get that, and I think it works. I will also say, and I don't think this is part of this season, but my first run was trying to be a bear druid because it sounded cool before the game started.
It's
and
my favorite.
Think that build didn't work so well, especially in the kind of dirty 30s that we've talked about in Diablo before this update. As a bear druid now trying again through the campaign, it is clear that every aspect of that has been tweaked at some level. Like I'm sure there's patch notes from versions between now and then that show the bear druid getting tweaked about a bunch of stuff, because right now, pardon my French, my bear druid is a brick shit house. Like it can't be touched by anything.
I love that you're a bear druid too, because that's what I went back to. I was saying that I did druid when Travis and I reviewed it. That was my build. And then when the game launched, I went to a barbarian, which I enjoyed as well, but I'm back on my bear druid bullshit, which is a great phrase, by the way. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So it's just so much fun just slamming and seeing everything scatter and, you know, smash all over the place. And it's great fun. Great fun.
Diablo 4 is great. I'm enjoying Season 4 a lot. I am okay with the changes, which makes me happy because I was a little worried that I would lose the flavor of my game. And so anybody that's interested in Diablo 4, now is a great time to jump in. I love it to death
Yeah.
still. And so we're looking at an expansion later this year and another class of character. And
Hopefully.
I've spent so much time in Diablo 4. Go play it. It's great.
Yeah. Travis, I think you're right too. I think them getting these changes out now was the right move, right? It's a foundational change to the core of the systems at play in Diablo, and you got to do that before the expansion, right? You have to get that
Yep.
set. So,
If
yep.
we say
Yeah,
Travis is right again, his head's going to explode off the stream.
I
Hey,
think he's right
I
on this
mean,
one. We'll give him this one.
I heard you finally validate what I told you after my preview with it. So it's nice. It's good to see.
I told you,
Change is good. Change is good.
Change can be good. Change can also be bad. All I said before was that I can't read through all of those notes. I can't listen to all of those changes and understand what that's going to feel like to me. I just don't have that capacity.
Yeah.
So
I think I think the changes they made are super smart. I think they're setting themselves up for success with the big expansion later this year. Yeah, I've not played it a ton since it came out, but just everything. I cover Diablo 4 for our site, so anytime there's patch notes or news or a fireside chat, I'm like on it, listening and watching, and eager to dive back in once I have something to play besides the seasonal stuff, because I played the first 3 seasons, and I think this one I've seen enough, and I kind of just want to wait for the new expansion. This is kind of how I'm feeling. But yeah, really still a great game. I think honestly probably the best live service support for a game right now is Diablo 4. Actually, they're constantly working on it. Great feedback loop. They have speed. Their team is set up to do this thing. They're making content. I'm really excited to see where this expansion goes. Hopefully I'll play a whole bunch of that. So
very curious to see what they do with the class too, because the only thing they've said is this is a class that's never been in a Diablo game before. So I don't know what that means. Of course, none of us do, but I'm very curious to see what that looks like. I need a sword and board character.
I think they just said that so that people would stop talking about paladins.
No, we need a paladin. Be clear about
I would love to have a paladin, but I do think the story of Diablo 4 is structured around not having a paladin.
Damn it.
Because the cathedral plays such a big role in the story.
True. It is true.
You need a character that has a shield bash, man. Come on.
By the way, whenever I do group interviews for Diablo, somebody inevitably asks about the addition of Paladin, and their whole team is so sick of people asking about that character class. They basically like verbally bitch slap whoever asks it. And every time I'm in a group interview, at least one outlet asks it, and I'm always like, "Oh, must be your first time." Fool, don't ask about the Paladin. We know the answer there.
I'll call it a Crusader if it makes you feel better. Just
brand new class. It'll be Treasure Goblin.
I mean, you can still get sword and board without a Paladin specifically, but I do think Hogue makes a good point that a lot of the storyline is about the church being kind of not an antagonist a little bit. So
I don't think the cathedral's antagonistic, but they are misguided.
I don't know, man. Some of the stuff they do is pretty antagonistic to me, but yeah.
Well, that's Diablo 4. What else? I know Hades 2 is out there. I know Ghost of Tsushima launched on PC, which a lot of people have been checking out, which is cool to see it doing so well over there. But what else you guys want to touch on?
They made a great Hades 2 update. I don't know if you guys saw.
I did not.
I mean, they're already making pretty big changes to that. So yeah, I had some pretty major complaints with the very first version that they released into early access, with the understanding that it probably was going to change. But one of the first things that bothered me was the fact that each run you have to pick one tool to bring with you, which was not true in Hades 1. So like if you want to mine resources, you have to choose to bring the pickaxe with you, which means you can't bring the fishing pole. So if you see
we talked about that, right?
But yes, you see a spot to fish, you can't do it. And I was like, I turned to D, I was like, this is going to be the guaranteed patch notes 1 is going to be them replacing this. And so it is. They did it.
Nice.
They now made it so that whichever tool you choose to take with you, you merely get increased instances of that thing spawning. So now you don't have to pass up pieces of loot just because you didn't bring that specific tool with you, which was always a terrible idea. I don't know how that even made it into the first version of the game, but yeah, they fixed it immediately. So game is looking better. I'm still working my way through it and also trying to not play it because I know I'm going to play a ton of it when the 1.0 comes out, but it's very hard. Hades 2 is one of those games that once you have the early access build, you're like, man, that's all I want to play. Even if
it's so polished too. Like,
I want to wait for the 1.0, but I'm like, it's so good now. I want to play it right now. So,
no doubt. I do want to quickly mention Crow Country. I think I mentioned this the other day, but our review is up for that. It's that PS1 kind of era, if you will, horror game. So our review and video did go up for that this week, so you can check that out if you like. If you're interested in a very kind of classic horror experience, pretty short experience from what our reviewers said as well, you can check that out. But I know we mentioned it the other week. I just want to say that our coverage of that's up too. You can check that out. But come on, Hogue. I know you got some Hogue's notes for us.
I do, but the first you guys are going to make fun of me for because Diablo 4,
Hogue's notes.
Diablo 4 always makes me think of playing Skull and Bones. Right?
No.
Diablo 4 and Skull and Bones have the same.
Why did I ask?
The same point in my life where you play a big live services game and you go and you build out your characters. So I was playing a lot of Skull and Bones this week. I was earning through my smuggling operation enough of the smuggling bucks to get the blueprint for the boat I wanted. I got that blueprint, and now I'm on a resource hunt for the things that are needed to make that boat, and I'm having a grand old time. Skull and Bones is great, but before we talk more about how great Skull and Bones is, I think we have to mention Ubisoft calling out Skull and Bones in their financial report as having a strong launch.
They did. So you're right.
We've talked in this space about the fact that the internet is not the world, and that we can't always judge. We can't always judge by what our comments say or what people on Twitter say about what is being played, because there are games that demand a certain amount more passion in their audience. And the Ubisoft releases these games like For Honor and Skull and Bones, and they go away to a lot of what we can see in the spotlight online, but they are massive successes and appear in their financial records all the time. And I'm not saying Skull and Bones is that yet, but we know that Ubisoft stays with the games that are even moderately successful for a pretty long time. And them mentioning Skull and Bones at the top of their financial report on current games, I think is a good indicator that they intend to stick with it, which is an exciting day for me.
Yeah, we do have some data that Skull and Bones didn't do that well. We know it has fewer than 1 million players, which is not good for a Ubisoft game. But we also know that week that it launched, or month it launched, they were talking about how it had like the most player hours, or like most people. It was like their most active live service game at the time, with people just like logging in, and I included myself in that. I played it, just the living heck out of it, and then am now just sort of waiting for season 2. But yeah, I think this is very kind of surprising, Hogue, but I took the same thing away from you when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, they might actually stick with this long enough for people to realize it's not as bad as the internet is trying to make it out to be. So good news.
Yeah, the internet has negative thoughts on Skull and Bones, which is why people make fun of me when I post about it on Twitter, and that's okay. But I do think that if you do like anything that is represented by what it has in it, like sailing between islands, the big tall ships, piracy, all the fun things that Ubisoft promised would be in the game are actually in the game. If you like the thoughts of playing it through any of that, it is a good, fun game to play. And I've played it for now 100 hours or so, and I'm still earning stuff. I have no idea what Travis's time count is, or if he's the most efficient gamer in the history of mankind. But I go through this game and I think to myself, how in the heck does Travis have everything he wants to have? Whether it's missions or loot or ship parts or whatever it might be, because I'm never going to get there ever, my friends. So don't take Travis's experience for your likely experience with Skull and Bones, because I can't imagine playing it more, and I'm nowhere near being done with it, as it were.
I can almost guarantee I played that game more than you've played it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that's the way I go into games, is I just go ridiculously hard, especially when I'm on a review. But yeah, I don't think there's also, when I was playing, there were like probably more exploits and stuff you can do that they've since patched out. I haven't played it in a while, but that's my guess, is that they made things a little bit more kind of even since then. So,
well, I mean, yeah, I was pulling it up while you guys were talking, but yeah, Ubisoft's report was, I mean, generally really solid for them. Their net bookings were up 33% year over year, 138 million unique active users, which is up 12% year over year with player retention. Rainbow Six Siege is ridiculous. The long tail on that game, how it continues to perform. And then let's not forget, we just talked that they have Star Wars Outlaws, which we've already talked about. We got Assassin's Creed now coming later this year, which we're going to talk about. And then they have smaller games like the Rogue Prince of Persia coming as well. So no matter really, it doesn't really matter what you think of Ubisoft. They're doing well. And they've got some big games coming later this year, which will only probably drive that up further. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to do gangbusters, I think.
Yes.
And we can talk about that. I think it's on our list of
We
things
will.
to talk about. But I did want to talk about Skull and Bones because seeing it in the financial report there, even if it's not the biggest deal, right? There's some couching terms in that report that talk about it being around launch. But I think they called it the second most played of their live service launches, their launch periods, and people were averaging more than 4 hours of play in Skull and Bones, which isn't a surprise to me, because there's so much to do. And yeah, you have to like sailing between locations, but chances are you bought Skull and Bones because you're okay with sailing. Other people will find that boring. I have never had really more fun than sailing through a storm and fighting a ghost ship and pillaging a local French colony in order to get the resources I need to then funnel those resources into a smuggling operation. Like, everything in that statement is what I want out of this game. And you're not really following mission structure. It's not really campaign or story oriented. It's really more self-directed through almost like a survival crafter mechanic of trying to build things up to get to higher levels. But it's exactly what I would want out of an experience like this. And it's not a surprise to me if there are other people that are maybe quieter online, don't get up on their Twitter account to yell about things from Ubisoft or otherwise, that are just having fun with their little ship in a bottle.
I think you've surpassed your quota of Skull and Bones time, my friend.
And
I
yet,
don't think there's ever enough Skull and Bones time.
and yet, every review I have done since Skull and Bones has had commenters saying, "Don't listen to this guy's opinions. He gave Skull and Bones a 7 out of 10."
Yes,
So,
because there are unhappy
what are you
people
gonna
in the
do?
world, and the internet has a mob mentality for things it likes or doesn't like. And Skull and Bones is the chosen golem of the year, but that's not fair to Skull and Bones.
It's a
So we
disqualifying.
can be honest about it here.
Apparently,
So-
if you give Skull and Bones the same score that IGN gave Starfield, you just that's reprehensible. How dare you?
Proto in the chat, shout out to Proto in the chat. He says, I don't think it's about Assassin's Creed Shadow. I don't think it's going to do gangbusters, but definitely too early to know. I would be willing to bet the house that game.
Oh
is
yeah,
gangbusters.
what a dude. I mean, if you win this bet, 10-1 for sure. You get 10-1 payout. But you're gonna be wrong, bro.
Shadows is gonna be a massive launch.
Ninja Assassin's Creed is gonna do well
in Japan, which AC fans have wanted forever. Like, Japan has always been the setting they've been wanting.
Is this the one that they said that they would do when they ran out of ideas, or was that World War II?
World War II.
Yeah, they had one where they were like, I can't remember if it was like, Nazis in World War II, or if it was the Japan one where they were like, yeah, we'll do that, because people have been asking about both of those things forever. And one of them, they were like, we'll do it if we ever run out of ideas. So I
do think they're late to the party on this. I do think that Ronin and Neo and Ghost of Tsushima have satiated some of the desire for a historical action game in this location. So I do think they're late to the party. It could have been bigger, but I do think it'll be perfectly big.
None of those you can dive into hay, so doesn't count. Not real.
And honestly, I think people in general underestimate how big Assassin's Creed is. That IP is monstrous, and I think just the combination. Yeah, I think it's going to do extremely well.
It's all Michael Fassbender. We owe it all to him. He really. I mean, would we have legions of fans without him on that mechanical arm flying up and down?
It's fair. It's a fair question, honestly.
Would we?
Yeah. Well, we'll never know, because it's contemporaneous to them switching to the open world RPG format, which is the wildly popular version of Assassin's Creed. So we'll never know.
Which we'll talk a little more about what they said about this one.
They gave us a taste of the old one, and people did not buy it as much as you might have thought that they were going to buy it based on their comments and tweets.
I bought Mirage, but I think their biggest problem with Mirage is that it was just a small version of the open world large version. It was not a syndicate. It wasn't the old school Assassin's Creed. They framed it like that for marketing purposes, but it really felt like a really small Valhalla or Odyssey or Origins.
I never played that one, honestly. All right. What else you got? Dan, Hogue, Travis, other games?
Oh yeah, I got lots
He's
of
got to
other
have more
games.
Hogues notes, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we
I
don't
do.
need lots
Mirage.
more. We don't need lots more.
Sorry, I missed.
All right.
my
Well, I
cue,
can
guys.
talk about one game that I've been playing that is kind of a very specific Hogues Notes little indie game called Neurodiver. I don't know if Travis knows anything about this one. This is
I've
from the
heard of
people that
this.
made. This is a game by the people that made Read Only Memories. I want to say
Nice.
2068 is the year. It's some year for Read Only Memories. It's a sequel to that. You play as a psychic who uses a psychic octopus to attach to other people and correct their memories in the past. The psychic octopus is the Neurodiver. It is an adventure game like an Ace Attorney, more visual novel than anything else, with graphics in like the Nintendo era, the NES era with more colors, but NES level graphics. And
Yeah, it looks like it.
even though it has those NES graphics and text, it's all, as best I can tell, fully voiced in terms of dialogue. So it's interesting. It hasn't really progressed to any kind of mind-taxing puzzles as of yet, so it's more linear than anything right now. But I cannot pretend that I've played through it that far. But I am enjoying it, and that is the kind of weirdest Hogue Note game I have this week.
Hell
And
yeah!
it takes place in Neo San Francisco, by the way.
It does take
Dude.
place in Neo San Francisco, just outside it,
San-
actually.
Neo San Francisco is goated setting. Gotta Neo Diver, huh? Or Neurodiver?
Neurodiver.
Neurodivergent. I get it. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, this game would not pass the DEI detected Steam group, I don't think, but it is still a fun romp.
Nice.
95% of the games released right now, are influenced by never mind. That's just a ridiculous topic. Anyway.
I get it. It's just that very specific kind of colorful indie type game that has that kind of political vibe. It doesn't bother me, but that's your expectations.
Gotcha.
I'm buying it as we speak. I will play this game.
They do have a physical copy, so don't jump too fast. You can get
it has been purchased. Physical copies can go suck a brick. And yeah, thanks for that one. I don't know how I missed it, but yeah, I will definitely be playing that one.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, I think you'll like it, Travis.
Thanks. Thank you, Hogue.
Nice.
Give you a little kiss, a little peck on the
mic again.
You went through the skull and bones to get to Neurodiver.
That's right.
There you go.
I give you a little peck on the nape of your neck, Hogue. That's what I give you today. Little kiss, little smoochy.
Travis, you got anything you want to touch on?
Let's see. Disney Dreamlight Valley. I've been playing a whole bunch of that. I got a review that's going to be going live next week. If you have not played Disney Dreamlight Valley since it came out, they basically doubled the game size. They added a second map location.
Those guys don't want to hear about it, apparently.
Yeah, I know. Hogue hates Disney Dreamlight Valley. He said it on many occasions. He said, I hope my daughters never play this game. They don't deserve it. Which I agree with.
These are lies.
Yeah. But yeah, they basically doubled the size of the game. They added a ton of new characters, which I'd been unlocking, a new island. I won't go into it too much because I'm gonna have a full review on it next week. But the game has changed a ton, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. It's also not changed a ton. Like doubling in size does not mean that they've like drastically changed the game, and they sort of haven't. They've kept a lot of stuff the same, but they did add some cool kind of the big thing that you get by doing the new island and gathering all the resources there is you can build robots that help you take care of your chores in a cozy game. They help you automate it, right? So you can have one that like waters all your plants for you, and one that gathers all of the resources that grow and that sort of thing. So some pretty interesting stuff. You can start to industrialize a little bit your farms, which is cool. I'll have a whole bunch of that. And my next review is which I'm going to start working on Monday is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
So I've got my Xbox menu screen trying to sell me that one.
Yeah, they're really going hard on that one. So that'll be a fun one. It's from the same team that made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I reviewed last year. Maybe it was the year before last. I'm not sure. Time is a construct. But yeah, It was last year. Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
So they're doing quick. But yeah, they it's an asynchronous multiplayer game. I'm gonna be in there playing with a bunch of friends. So if you're a friend, maybe I'll be playing it with you. But yeah, that we think we get copies of that on Monday, so that should be super fun. You want to play this one with me, Hook?
Yeah, I mean, I give it a try. I like the kind of asymmetrical horror games. I do.
Yeah, I remember we played Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Evil
We
Dead
did play
together.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead together. That's
I
fun.
played Evil Dead
Yes.
with you as well.
There's
Yeah.
something about
Dane?
being hunted
you
by
want-
Travis as he cackles at you that's just a little much. But yeah,
You want to be a killer clown, Ains?
No, only because I don't have time for it.
Okay, fine.
But Zach will. I was going to tell you. So I've already talked to Miles about this over at the studio. So yeah, Zach will definitely want to jump in on that.
Yeah, Miles
I'll
hit me
speak
up.
more.
He was like, "Hey, are you going to be reviewing Killer Clowns?" And I was like, "What made you think that, Miles? What made you think I would review the game with Killer Clowns from Outer Space in the title?" And yeah, he was correct. Of course,
Okay.
they
does
gave
sound
me that
like
game.
you.
Yeah,
And your reference to Dreamlight Valley having robots actually reminded me of one that I wanted to mention that I don't think I have here on Bitcast, called Rusty's Retirement, which is a PC only game. I think it's PC only, and it's the only way it would make sense, that essentially plays on the bottom third of your screen while you're doing something else on your computer, and is a kind of farming game where Rusty, the robot, and his robot friends harvest things for you. And you can let it play on the bottom of your screen while you're doing other things. It's for all my ADHD friends out there. But it is a very good implementation. I expect it to take off as a format for other games in the future, because I think it's really smartly done. You can place
this is
it.
trippy.
What is trippy?
Your game. I'm looking at it.
Oh, Rusty's Retirement. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's cool. You can work on whatever legal documents you're drafting and have a cartoon robot in the bottom of your screen farming for you. It's wonderful. This is gaming, folks.
An idle game. Idle games. Yeah, you're right. This is for sure going to be a new category. Wow.
Idle farming simulator, and the reviews on it only came out 3 weeks ago. The reviews on it are overwhelmingly positive.
I meant to mention it,
a game that
it's
plays
really
itself.
well
done. Who wouldn't? That's crazy.
Okay, I think idle gaming sounds is that not an oxymoron in some form?
So idle games is a category, right? So this is the cookie clicker type game. But then this is a game that is idle in that the robot does things for you, but you're still having to manage what your farm produces in a way that I think is a little bit more gamified than something that is purely idle. But I like a lot of those games with automated aspects. Definitely.
It's like those people that train robots to like beat Super Mario and stuff. It's like, man, if we're gonna spend our robot capital on tasks, I don't know if we need them to play our video games. I don't know if that's priority number one. Maybe they should take out my trash first. That'd be great. Clean the litter box. What do you guys think? Should we have the
check it out. Rusty's Retirement, really cool.
Who's Rusty? Is Rusty a robot?
Rusty is the robot.
Yeah, I figured.
Can I have it playing while we're doing Bitcast?
Yes. Are you kidding me?
Do you stream on a PC?
I do.
There you go. Then yes.
All right. Is it free?
No, it's like $5.
$7.
$7. All right.
It's a big investment. Think about it.
Yeah, it's a big investment, buddy.
I'll
you
think
might have
about
to
it.
sell one of those Funko Pops behind you.
You can absolutely have it running during Bitcast. No one will notice.
By the way, we're about 270 concurrent with us right now. Thank you all for hanging out.
Whoa. I didn't know we were
right?
big shots here. Let me change. I'm going to change my whole personality.
You need
now,
a bit.
I need to step
Put
up
your
my
fancy
game.
tie on. Put the fancy tie on. Yeah, but we're around that right now. So share this out, share it. I could go with the cotton tie. The square bottom's iffy. I don't know about that one.
It's a hand knit tie, so that's kind of just the style,
It's like you have a small scarf on the front of you.
Kind of. I mean, you're just describing ties. A small scarf. Do you know ties originally were like napkins? It was just because people needed like a handkerchief, and they would they were big puffy ones. They blow their nose in it and wipe their mouth and stuff.
Beautiful.
And then just over the years, it just became like a purely decorative thing. But yeah,
I'm gonna do that in LA with
start blowing your nose in the. Yeah, I think people would really.
Yeah, I just help me fit in a little bit. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Couple things to get to here. Let's catch up on these super chats and membership.
Now that I lost all of our viewers.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's the sartorial
hello.
corner with Travis.
No, I'm gonna go get a tie. Hello, Darkness, my old friend with the $5 super chat. I'm being really selfish here, but I wish the FTC would mess up another merger. Missing Hogue.
I don't know how to take this while I'm on video live.
That's true. I mean, he's right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw him.
Not the same unless you're talking. Well, the FTC is doing stuff, which I'm a fan of. I like.
I hope they're doing stuff.
I did a whole long video about their non-compete ban.
They're doing stuff. I think it's good. They should be pushing the envelope.
You've got TikTok video out there as well.
Yeah,
I did a whole episode on the TikTok lawsuit.
I too wish that Hogue didn't die all those years ago. Thanks for commenting. Hello, Darkness, my old friend.
He followed it up with 5 gifted memberships on the Hogue Law side of the house. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hello Darkness, my old friend.
That came out. That was perfect. Stingray X became a member on the SG side. Thank you, my friend. Shoosh
with €5. Speaking of things a long time coming, Creative Assembly is rumored to be making Star Wars Total War, or World War I, and Warhammer 40K as well. All right, man.
We'll see.
We will see. Creative Assembly has, I think they have 3 projects in flight that we supposedly know about. The one, of course, is the big one with Halo, with 343 and Halo. It'd be interesting if they're doing a Star Wars thing as well, but they're a talented studio over there at CA. So I'm thinking of Certain Affinity. I'm sorry. Never mind. Take everything back I just said. I'm mixing up Creative Assembly and Certain Affinity. My fault.
It's the
Make
same
Alien Isolation 2, Creative Assembly. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I saw the CA and my mind, being the Halo guy, just went to Certain Affinity. Sorry. Shoosh, thank you for the super chat and generosity. Thank you very much. Seeds, you're out of control, my friend. I'm going to owe you a drink when we catch up here in a few weeks. Gifting 20 seasoned gaming memberships on the SG side of the house after a big super chat as well. You're crazy. But I do appreciate it. As we say many times, this is the only monetization for the site and the channel. So thank you very much, man. I will we'll share a drink here soon. Nick.
And Nick with Love the Show. Thanks for the $2, Nick. We love you,
Nick. Love the show. Appreciate that, Nick. Thank you very much. All right, boys. So we've got a lot of topics to talk about this week. So let's start with the cover one, which is we talked last week about Xbox closing the studios. We talked about Call of Duty rumor on Game Pass, and we kind of gave our opinion on whether or not we thought we would see that. I think we all kind of said, like, if Game Pass is their thing, which it is, Call of Duty has to be there, right? I'm pretty sure we were pretty unanimous on that. Wall Street Journal, of all places, came out and reported a couple days ago that Call of Duty 2024 Gulf War will be launching. Will launch on. Well, it's like Black Ops 6, but there's supposed to be the Gulf War.
Mirage.
No.
Mirage. That's right. Every time Aiden says it, I hear Gulf War. And I'm like, Gulf War.
The Gulf War.
Call of Duty.
That'd be more exciting.
Scotty Scheffler at Valhalla.
Sick, dude.
Yeah. But they're reporting that this will launch in the Game Pass. Obviously, everyone kind of ran with it. I said last week that I believe that they will say it's launching in the Game Pass at the end of their showcase and their redacted portion for Call of Duty. I guess my question for you guys is, let's assume this is true. Right. And they go all in on Game Pass through next year, whatever that looks like with the rest of their releases. Right. And then it doesn't move the needle like they thought it would, whatever their internal metrics are around what they expect Call of Duty and the revenue stream and everything else to go along with that. If this goes a year or two where Call of Duty and everything doesn't move the needle on Game Pass, it doesn't do what they think it's going to do. Do you see any kind of contingency here? Because I was trying to think about what the contingency plan for Game Pass is, and it doesn't feel like Xbox really has one. This is their thing.
I don't think they need a contingency plan because we know Call of Duty is going to do well. So if Game Pass doesn't move the needle, all that will mean is that they're selling a whole bunch more copies of Call of Duty, right?
Also true.
Yeah, because the options are either they just sell a bunch of Call of Duty, which they seem fine with, or they gain a whole bunch of new Game Pass subscribers, which they would also be fine with. So I think it's kind of win-win for them. I don't think this needs to be make or break. I think you keep everything on Game Pass for the people who want it. You hope that portion of people grows, but if not, if you're still making great games and people are just buying those games and choosing to not subscribe to your service, I don't see how that hurts you, honestly.
Don't you lose some though? Like, what about the part of Game Pass subscribers who normally would buy Call of Duty and now don't have
so now you're a Game Pass subscriber, which is what I wanted.
You already are a Game Pass subscriber. There's no movement there. You go kind of backwards a little bit, don't you?
I don't think so. Now I'm keeping you as a Game Pass subscriber. Keep in mind, this is the first time that Microsoft is making the money themselves off of it, so it's probably net for them. But I think it's that old you subscribe to Game Pass. Good, that's what I wanted you to do. Well, I'm going to unsubscribe and just buy it. Good, that's what I wanted you to do, right? It's no matter what, they're kind of in a winning position. So I don't think this has to make or break it, right? The problem that the point where they will get into trouble is if people just stop buying their games and don't care about them enough to be on Game Pass for them, which I think you only get there if you just start making bad games, which is not beyond question. This is Microsoft. They have a bit of a sordid history with acquiring studios and being able to keep releasing games on it. But I think Call of Duty is probably safe. We'll see. But yeah.
I also saw several. Go ahead.
This is not Call of Duty at its highest power point, right? I mean, Microsoft buying it adds the kind of extra variable as to we don't know how they're going to run Activision, but we also don't know what Call of Duty's kind of glide path was going to be from here. It wasn't going to stay at the top of video gaming forever and ever. Amen. So that's a part of the calculation. I also think when you say move the needle, Ains, in respect to Game Pass, we do also have to note that there's a certain amount of churn that goes with any kind of subscription service. And to the extent Call of Duty might otherwise stop some of the loss of subscribers, that can also be a metric that Xbox follows, right? They're not going to just be looking at pure growth of Game Pass. They're going to be looking
at retention matters.
What effect Call of Duty releasing in a given month has on Game Pass numbers overall, which might be that they want to increase. Certainly Call of Duty is a big enough asset that you would think that they do, but it's not necessarily that it has to go up 20% in order to justify 20% reduction in sales on Call of Duty elsewhere, right? So there's a lot of math here. This is why whenever I talk about Game Pass, I say there's a lot of tricky math, because it's tricky when you've got an outside developer, because you have to make sure they get enough money where they feel justified and that you spent little enough that you feel justified in selling your subscription service. But internally, it's the same kind of thing. It's just a little bit harder to see for us on the outside. So I think Game Pass on Call of Duty on Game Pass made all the sense in the world to me. I think we've talked about it being advertising for Game Pass on all other versions of Call of Duty that'll be presumably sold at regular price elsewhere. And so worst case scenario for Xbox is that there's very little bump for Call of Duty appearing on Game Pass, either in retention or increase, however you want to wind up looking at that. But I think they have to play it this way. They bought this thing. This is the way they needed to use it. So
I agree.
We're talking about a negative financial report that hasn't happened yet because it can't happen yet.
The other thing is microtransactions are a big part of Call of Duty, and I think
what I've been trying to say.
Oh, really? And at least other games that are on Game Pass, you get the 10% Game Pass discount on microtransactions. So I could see that actually moving people, because, if you told me there's one platform that now owns this game that's probably going to have benefits in the future, and also all of the microtransaction money I spend gets me 10% farther, I think that's, that could start to win back the Call of Duty crowd, which I think has probably moved more to the PlayStation side due to the exclusivity stuff in recent years. But I think
actually really interesting and somewhat odd to me, right? Like, so Diablo 4 I bought as a full game on the Xbox because I assumed the Activision deal would go through. Now it's on Game Pass. Can I expect the expansion to be at a discount for me?
Yep. At least 10% off.
Yeah, that's like weird, right? To me, that's Microsoft kind of missing a beat, right? I don't need that discount to buy that expansion. And so it's an accident of what they put on Game Pass after I bought it that I would get that discount.
It's basically the It's because because you're playing it on Xbox, you have no obligation to buy it because that expansion is most likely just going to be free if you're a Game Pass subscriber, right? And so the 10% incentive is for the
Well,
people who
they don't put DLC and expansions for free. Like
No,
that's
I
part
don't
of their
think the
core
expansion wants
business.
that.
I mean, I think the major ones they do.
We'll see.
Not seasonal content, but I'd be willing to bet that this new expansion is like, yeah, if you're on Game Pass, it's part of the Diablo 4 package.
That'd be interesting, actually. I don't think so, but I can see your point at the same time. So I guess we'll see.
I'm trying to think of an example. They've definitely done that in the past, where like the expansion was also in Game Pass, and then you could just buy it.
It's usually post though.
But if it's not in Game Pass, it won't get the 10%
wasn't
discount.
Didn't Hivebusters launch in the Game Pass?
I think you're right on that one. Hivebusters.
I think you may be right. I can't remember. Honestly.
But yeah, my point is that if it's not in Game Pass, it won't have the 10% discount. So the 10% discount really is for the people who already could get it for free, and they just want that, DRM to say that they own it in case it ever leaves Game Pass. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think your 10% comment is pertinent. That's what I was going to say. Is anecdotally, I've already seen a bunch on my timeline say like, if it is in Game Pass, that's just more money to spend in the game. To your point, because we've talked before about monetization within Call of Duty is huge, right? I mean, they sell it's billions that they make on an annual basis in terms of monetization with Call of Duty. And if you're getting, you're buying that $100 package of coins, which gets you $130 in the game or whatever, 10% here and 10% there does add up over time. And I say that as a Halo player who has spent way too much money in Halo. So, the 10% does help. So I think that's a pertinent point. I think it's going to be really interesting to see. They usually don't break out in-game spending by title, right? We're going to talk about 2K's recurrent spending, which is really interesting here later. But yeah, I think you'll probably see a bump in that as well. So either way, I think it's a good thing. I think, as we've all said, they needed to go this way, right? If you're going to double down on Game Pass being your thing and all your first party games being in it, Call of Duty has to be there. So yeah, so this could be interesting to see.
You asked, what does happen? If this doesn't, in 2 years, we see this continue. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to be able to, you'll get the base game, kind of like they did with Horizon, or Forza Horizon, and then you can buy the better versions, or pay like the $20 or $30,
the $30, yeah, for the
upgrade.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, if this doesn't move the needle, I mean, I don't know what they do, man. To be honest with you, I mean,
I really don't see why that's a bad thing. If it doesn't move the needle, then that just means they're selling a whole bunch of copies of Call of Duty.
Yeah, they're going to be making all the the PlayStation money now and everything else. I mean, they're going to be fine. I'm not worried about that.
Why it cost $80 billion?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's
pocket change.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Let's be clear. I'm not worried about. I think some of the doom and gloom of Xbox
it's crazy.
Is absurd. That's not what I'm saying. I was more saying about methodology wise. If this doesn't hit whatever internal metrics they have, do they do some sort of shift, right, with how they approach kind of consumer spending a couple years from now? I don't know.
I mean, the obvious answer from a business perspective is you try to increase the base availability of Game Pass, which I think is already what they're moving towards. But if you're, whatever reason, not getting the right performance indicators from putting Call of Duty on it, that's what you do, is right. You try to move Game Pass to every TV you can think of. You try to move Game Pass even into the competing hardware platforms if you can get them, and negotiate those deals. Like, that's the kind of stuff behind the scenes that you become the Game Pass company, right? Microsoft Gaming is Game Pass and not Xbox anymore at that point. But like, that's what you would have to do, is try to broaden the audience to make it make sense. But yeah. I agree with Travis that we're talking about a potential financial report that is hard for us to hypotheticalize here, because there's a number of ways that it could look, whether it's retention failing or whether it's increase not being what they wanted. But it's always going to be compared to what dollars did we make selling licenses to the whole product separate from Game Pass. And Travis is assuming that the overall pie stays roughly the same shape. I think the most negative kind of world that Microsoft could create for itself is that the pie shrinks somehow.
Of course, that's my point.
If the pie shrinks, they're screwed. But if it doesn't, I don't think it matters how many are on Game Pass or how many are being sold.
No, maybe I worded it wrong, but that's what I was referring to. If the pie shrinks, right? If your revenue of the decision, then overall revenue then goes down, what you expect,
Yeah.
then what do you do? But
I mean, look,
it's not like
I've been waiting for the Call of Duty thing to crash for a decade, and it hasn't. So I'd
It's
be really
true.
surprised if it started now.
You remember when I don't think it was the CEO, someone high up at EA before Battlefield 1 came out? It was years ago now, but he made a comment like, Battlefield's taken over and Call of Duty won't be the annual winner anymore going forward. This was like a decade ago. It's quite funny to look back on now.
Bring back Medal of Honor, you cowards.
Look, they had a chance. Battlefield had a chance, but I think they kind of have blown it
Mismanagement.
recently. They just eroded trust and haven't
Yep.
been consistent. And yeah, I think Call of Duty's eating their lunch, but I'm just surprised like the realistic shooter is still as relevant. I don't know. It's just me.
Call of Duty is just very good at engagement in the sense of it's very easy to pick up and play. It's a very kind of community driven game where groups of friends just play that. I know groups of people that only play that game. They don't play any other video game. They just play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And it's an annual party. You know what I mean? Like every year it's like, okay, they've gotten in that cadence over the past 15, 20 years of just like, it's Call of Duty time. November is Call of Duty time, period.
You know what's an annual party, Ains? College football.
No, we're not segueing there yet. No, you're not forcing a segue. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. And it's not an annual party because it's been like 13 years. So
it's been 10 years.
We'll see. It's
I
been a long
about
time.
A video game, just college football in general.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Anyway, moving on the other Xbox piece. So this one popped up. I think it's probably the most surprising news this week was that Activision, of course, now Xbox, opened a brand new AAA studio in Warsaw, Poland, named Elsewhere. They reported that they are working on a new IP. This will not be Call of Duty related, which I always find funny they have to say because you hear Activision, you assume Call of Duty. But new IP.
I think it's for developers, right? One of the things that I hear when I talk to like my brother's friends that were at Activision and have since moved on is that you do get stuck making Call of Duty for a long period of time. So one of the things you say when you start a new studio is this is not a support studio for Call of Duty.
Yeah, right. Because as in the press release for this, they commented, and exactly to your point, Hogue, they commented that they're working on new IP, AAA, that is currently working with developers that have previously worked on Last of Us, Uncharted, The Witcher, Cyberpunk, Destiny, Tom Clancy's The Division, and Far Cry. So Ubisoft, CD Projekt Red, PlayStation.
Bad games all around.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
They did say The Witcher there.
Talentless studio.
They meant one.
Every one of those games is
Witcher
bad.
one.
Well, The Witcher 1 was a strong showing for a smallish Polish studio at the time.
I like
we're giving it full credit.
I like Witcher 1. Don't let them hate on our game.
Witcher 1 was a good launch back in the day. But yeah.
But anyway,
no doubt they're remaking it. They can't move the sex cards in 2024. So
yeah. But anyway, obviously calling out that they have talented people from some major studios previously, right? So we'll see what comes out of this. I don't expect to hear much out of this for a long time. But
it's a great name for a studio. I love it.
Elsewhere, it's pretty cool.
What do you call it when you're there?
There?
Are they a fully remote studio?
Here?
Makes sense. Elsewhere?
Anywhere?
No, it's they included the definition of elsewhere on their little branding thing. They're talking about the old origins, we create worlds kind of notion. And I think it's a cool name for a studio. Now, the bit of information or the commentary that I got when this was announced was essentially, how dare Microsoft close studios and then open another one? But the one thing I would mention here is that Poland is not Japan and is not North America in terms of both the labor cost and the cost of starting up a studio. Poland, in fact, is very invested in incentivizing technology companies.
I was just going to say that they have unique laws around that as well. Yep.
Yeah. 100%. So, I mean, this isn't a surprise to me, but also this is how big gargantuan companies operate, right? Like Activision is not Bethesda. And while Microsoft appears to have been kind of a stronger hand in telling Bethesda to close these studios, that when Microsoft buys these companies, they try to have a relatively hands-off approach on how they operate. So this appears to be an Activision decision more than a Microsoft one. And they're not the same.
No, they are not. And let's also remember that we don't know the specifics of all the resources at play here, right? We know that some of the Arcane Austin people are still retained. We don't know if internally they offered transfers to people that are currently within some of the dev teams, right, to go to Poland and be part of this team. We don't have those types of specifics. So, yeah, I would always say be careful making those assumptions. So, Burpsy says, are they staffed by Khajiit? Okay, so that
they
is
are elsewhere, right? Yeah.
yeah. So that's
you guys.
that's
A quick question.
Go
Do you guys ever wonder when they say stuff like, "We've got developers with experience working on franchises like this, and this"? Like one of those guys is like maybe like the janitor that was at like
it can be anything.
Yeah, I
it
mean,
can
it sounds
literally
like
be an
very,
entry level artist. It could be anything
right.
like that.
You know, it's funny.
Like I stopped by and delivered donuts to him once. So
when you talk about Ubisoft, right, it's like thousands and thousands of people. Speaking of Ubisoft, if you think of Skull and Bones and you watch the opening title credits to Skull and Bones, there's like 14 studios. There's like Ubisofts from all over the world that are on the front credits of Skull and Bones. So it's thousands and thousands.
You'd have to do that for a quad A game, Hogue. Come on.
You do.
Yeah.
There'll be thousands and thousands of people that have experience on Far Cry or The Division or Destiny even. Right. So you're right, but it doesn't mean that they were the janitor. That means that there were a lot of people that were involved in the construction of the game.
Anytime I see that, I think it's just
yes, Travis.
Like, yeah, all right, that's enough.
A funny anecdote is that developer teams that I meet with are extremely aware of that, Dan, of people sort of like flexing their credentials erroneously or making it misleading. And so anytime they cite, which this is just to me, obviously their PR companies are different. These companies hire PR people to like, butter up their resume and make it as cool as possible for recruitment purposes, which I'm sure is why the studio was announced and its location and, all that stuff is for recruitment purposes. But they usually tell me like, yeah, we've got people that worked on blank game. And then they pause and they go, here's the roles. They always list out like they did this and then we have the artist from this game and that sort of stuff. And they're extremely aware of that kind of misleading. And I would say in my experience, Dan, it's usually when they cite a studio, it's not the janitor. It's like somebody who was actually working on the game pretty significantly because I think devs are used to kind of being accused of maybe beefing up their credentials more than they ought. So
well, it's one thing when you say, we got people that worked on Dragon Age and it's Mike Laidlaw, they've worked on, that's that's got some.
But keep in mind, sometimes the people that are doing the art versus leading the art team are actually more involved in the creation of the game. So I think there's definitely room. It's really just a question of what do you want the expectations for your studio to be? Do you want to put, that your team worked on Dragon Age if you're not making a AAA RPG? Do you want to cite that you worked on Destiny if you're not making a multiplayer game or a shooter? And so I think it's up to studios to straddle that line and decide what credentials they want to promote. But typically if they promote the credentials, it's because they have, like, for example, I'm sure they have people who worked on AA games, but that list that Ains just read off, it was all AAA games. Why are they citing those AAA games? Because they are making a AAA game and they want people to know, like, here are our ambitions. If they were making a AA game, they probably would have cited none of those studios, because then people think, oh, it's going to be a AAA game, and then you get in trouble. And so sometimes when I walk into a studio, and especially if it's like an indie studio, they'll be like, hey, please don't talk about how we have people who worked on Baldur's Gate 3 because we're not making an RPG, we're not making a AAA game. So I think expectation setting and what you're looking for in your recruitment speaks a lot to like who you reference and who's on your team and what games you guys have worked on. So
Travis is exactly right, at the risk of really exploding the bottom left corner of the video. That's exactly what I was going to say, which is
you told me not to say that anymore, Hogue.
I know, right? That list is specifically picked out so that you have a feel for what Elsewhere is going to be making, i.e. real games, right? The big games that you think of, come work for us. We know it's Poland. but come work for us because we're making the real games here.
Please come to Poland.
The way you said that, Hogue.
Do you want me to answer
not-
that question? Do you want me to tell you the history of Poland a little bit?
Yeah,
So
I need
I
you
say
to
this
inform me
as
of
a
the history
Polish
of Poland.
person, I'm talking about recruitment.
Hey, my grandparents were Polish.
I am almost. I think I'm exactly 50% Polish. So I have a connection with the old country. I'm just saying.
You guys
when you're
make
talking
good
about
hot
recruiting-
dogs. You ever have a Polish? I don't know.
Like a Polish sausage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Polish
he means
sausage.
sausage. He means sausage.
Yeah.
There we
They're
go.
hot dogs.
Now
right?
we're
Yeah,
getting
of
into
course. My
good
grandma
stuff.
used to make me Polish potato chips by frying up little slices of Polish
Have
sausage.
you ever had kolaczkis though?
Of course.
Of course. Yes. This is what I used to grow up with. And then right next door
Kolaczki is fantastic.
right next door
My,
was
my
Puerto
family
Ricans.
found
It's-
themselves in Poland briefly.
Stop it.
Damn it, Travis.
I don't know if they tried the kolaches. I don't know if they were
They should have.
I love kolaczki, pierogi, krushinki. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Relax. Have a pierogi. It'll all blow over.
Yes. Everybody's crying about,
In any
Oh,
event,
boy.
when you're recruiting people to Warsaw, Poland, and they may or may not have a connection.
Are you still
with
going on
Warsaw,
this?
Poland, you have to say, "Come on over. We're doing big things."
We got it. We got it. Dan, by the way, there's some type of branding you can do with yourself as a Polish Puerto Rican. By the way,
It's
I don't know how
Puerto
you work
Rican.
that in. Puerto Rican. You
Puerto
gotta
Rican.
you gotta do something with that.
It's fantastic.
We're gonna move to Japan briefly. So we're back talking about Ubisoft. So Assassin's Creed Shadows gets officially announced. This was previously codenamed Assassin's Creed Red because they have 4 Assassin's Creed projects in the works right now. This is one of them. Happy to say I'll be able to talk about this extensively soon because I have an appointment to check out this game in a couple weeks, which is awesome. But this releases on November 15th. The synopsis of this one, in case you missed it, is it has dual protagonists in feudal Japan. The description of this reads as following: as a shinobi assassin, is it Neo? I don't know how to pronounce that. Uses stealth to avoid detection and agility to confuse enemies, whereas Yusuke, a legendary samurai, uses lethal precision and power. You unlock new skills, gear, and progression independently for each character. Plus, as you explore the world, you create your own network of spies to be your eyes and ears across Japan, and different allies will have unique skills to help you accomplish missions. In one of the preview videos, it says you create a fully customizable hideout for your growing shinobi league as you train your crew, craft new gear, interact with key characters. Choose your base's layouts, decorations, and accessories. So there's base building in this. I hope it's not forced.
My daughters will love it.
I believe it would be Nio.
Is it Nio?
I think
Okay.
I think you pronounce all the letters usually, and so I think it's probably
Neo?
like Nioe.
Naoe.
Oh, I didn't see
Naoe?
this. Spell it again.
Naoe.
Naoe.
Yeah, I think it's Nio. I had to learn a little bit of this pronunciation for the samurai RPG.
Where's
that I
D,
do.
damn it? This is why we
She
need D on the show.
See, yeah,
You
exactly.
can't just bring in the closest Asian person to say pronounce
on,
this
Nate.
She
for me.
knows these things, though. She does know them.
Travis is like, she's out getting us crabs right now.
Oh god.
She's in a fight right now. She's
Oh God.
that got me. Ains. That was good.
That's good.
Oh, man.
That's good. But anyway, November 15th. So they're clearly confident in this one, given that is literal prime
Yeah, that's the
time
sweet spot.
holiday release schedule. So they will be showing this at UB Forward on June 10th. And we'll have a lot more information at that point. I'm looking forward to covering it. But I'm excited about this one. I'm in that mode where like
Forward still
Assassin
sounds like something you tell somebody that you don't want to talk to when they approach your dining table.
UB Forward. UB Forward.
You be forward.
It is a weird
don't like
name for
it.
that. But
I don't like it.
But I don't know about you guys. Like, I know we've talked about Assassin's Creed quite a lot with the difference between the old and the RPG sense. We'll kind of see where this one lands, kind of fully featured wise. But I am excited. There is something comfort foodie about these types of games where I feel like you kind of know what you're getting at various points, and you can kind of jump into it, just explore the world and just have fun with it. And I like those types of games. I'm looking forward to this one for that reason.
Hell yeah.
I love Assassin's Creed. I mean, I go to bat for the Ubi game, I think, a lot on this show and elsewhere. But I enjoy the Assassin's Creed kind of concept. I like historical tourism. I like that when you throw thousands and thousands of people at something with huge amounts of resources, like building ancient Japan or ancient Greece or whatever else you're doing in Assassin's Creed. I guess it's more kind of medieval Japan. Then you get things that you couldn't get without those resources. So I think Assassin's Creed is kind of the highest best outcome for me for like open world resources being put at a game. Now, do I want them to be more plot driven and interesting than a Valhalla? I do, but I can't tell you I didn't play Valhalla a lot. So I'm hopeful for this game.
By the way, Valhalla is on my aspirational games list.
I'm not sure it has an ending.
I honestly, that's one where it's like I've beat every single Assassin's Creed except that one, and it is killing me that I still haven't beaten that one, but I just don't know how I could. When am I going to find an extra 80 hours lying around?
Yeah. 80 hours.
80? Did you say 80? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got like
Isn't it 80?
300
Isn't it
in
80?
that game, and I haven't finished that game.
Oh, I'm talking mainline, bro.
Oh, yeah. You can do that.
I ain't doing none of that side quest shit in the Assassin's Creed game. I'm getting
Well,
I'm getting in and out.
DLC though? Didn't you reviewed it?
I did actually. Yeah, I did a preview for the DLC because it was standalone. You didn't have to play the other stuff.
Ireland is my favorite part of Valhalla.
It is the best
honestly
part of that game.
I've said many times I'm super bored of feudal Japan. That still is true.
Sorry.
That is still true. I'm pretty bored of feudal Japan. I've seen a lot of it. Sorry, D. Sorry.
I don't think Dee is from feudal Japan, Travis.
She is. That's her home. You don't know. She's in her kimono right off screen, just right out of view. She's
shoveling down sushi.
Crabs.
Honestly, if you guys
There's crabs running around the apartment.
If you guys had any idea how close I am to not even joking about any of this, you guys would be very surprised. But yeah, that is still true. But I think nothing could be less interesting than Vikings for me personally. I just don't. Vikings is like the most boring setting ever in my, for my money. So
the invasion of England. I mean, that was big dramatic stuff. I'm actually surprised at how inert Valhalla feels for large sections of its running time.
Exactly what I was just going to say. I actually really like the idea, but when they talked about the missions having the impact of Witcher 3, they grossly overestimated.
Oh my god!
No, Odyssey was the closest to that. Odyssey is little my first Witcher 3.
Yeah,
Odyssey's my favorite of the newer ACs personally, but
I think
we'll see how this one lands. Billy P, by the way, shout out. He says it's not OE, not OE.
It's
not
no.
OE.
It's. I just looked it up. It's Naoe. Naoe. Yeah.
Okay.
That's. I mean, I looked at the video.
That sounds closer to my understanding of the phonetics. There, it'd be closer to Naoe. Yeah.
Naoe.
Okay.
Naoe. So
there we go.
Listen, I played every Assassin's Creed. I've finished damn near all of them except for, was there like Liberation or something like that? Some kind of small, little, I never played that one. Here's the thing. I know people got all wrapped up in the crazy controversy this week. I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan of the dual protagonist stuff because somebody typically gets left behind, whether that be because of the developer choices or because of the player choices in the game. I like both these characters. They look pretty badass. I really kind of wish they were separated into their own games because Yasuke doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game to me, or like a character that should be in it. Kind of like Eivor, I mean, it never. I wanted them to get back to the Brotherhood, the first set of games where it was stealth, and this is going in a totally different direction. The only good thing about Mirage was that they kind of did that a little bit, but it was still, like Hogue said, it was basically DLC for Valhalla, and slightly, with like a nice little paint job on it, I guess. But it really wasn't that interesting.
Mirage.
I mean, it was fine. This is the same thing way I feel about, like Hellblade. It's just like, yeah, it's there, it's fine. But I really wanted to, and I was like, okay, Shinobi, Ninja, they've got the perfect opportunity. This is one of my favorite, completely opposite of Travis, settings. Love Ghost of Tsushima, really love Rise of the Ronin. I love this kind of setting, and then but I've seen enough samurai, and I feel like Ubisoft could do him justice with his own game and have something bigger for him, and then just have this.
Be careful what you say. You don't know how
I
big
know,
this is
right?
yet.
I mean, it doesn't matter what I say, because people will take it out of context. But I mean,
No, I meant with
like,
the Ubisoft, like something bigger. I'm like, be careful what you wish for before you know this will be a 400-hour game.
Yeah, God, please shrink from Valhalla. Yeah, smaller than Valhalla.
Yeah. I think you can do something to give that character. Yeah, again, I don't know. This is just talking out of the side of my mouth because I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know. You're supposed to be able to play as either or. We'll see how much that actually holds up. But I mean, you can go through. I mean, The Last of Us Part 2, I think, suffered because of the dual protagonists. Spider-Man 2 sure the hell did, because they lost me with Miles.
What about Halo 2?
Again, like the Halo 2 Alan Wake 2 kind of format where you go through a story and you just switch protagonists, I think that's fine. We don't know how this is going to be handled, but I don't want to be in a place where I can be either or when I get to a subquest or anything else, because I think you lose some of your ability to tell a cogent story if you don't know who I am.
True, but I mean, I think the idea of a dual protagonist isn't without merit. To your point, just not two separate stories. Two separate stories, I think, often struggles. You're lucky if you get one good story in a game. Two, what are we, greedy?
That's
we need. Yeah, I mean, if you want to tell one story where I'm bouncing and you know what's happening and you know who I am in it, that's okay with me. I don't know what this is going to be because I don't think that Assassin's Creed has ever really done this. I can think of instances where the other character that you didn't choose exists in the story, like in Odyssey or in Syndicate. But they aren't
Syndicate. They were canon, right? You swap between them.
They both existed in Syndicate.
But Evie seemed to be like the. I mean, yeah. I mean, but if you look at both of them, I mean, really, I mean, Evie kind of stole the show, in my opinion. I guess in that game, playing through it.
Evie's the stronger character. I can't even think of the male character.
Jacob was his name.
Thank you.
And yeah, no problem. And yeah, but
Dan's just like an Assassin's Creed lore master. This is crazy.
I don't know, man. I feel like I've been waiting for this Assassin's Creed for a long time, and I really, really wanted to really kind of embrace that ninja shinobi kind of stealth setting. And I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I just hope that they can, like, the mission structure.
Balance be a right word.
Really good balance, but not even balance, because I'd rather just be able to go full out ninja, and just be like, okay, this guy is fine. I've played as samurai, I mean, I'm getting a little bored of it, to be honest with you.
So let me, while you guys were talking, so two things real quick. So there's been discussion in both chats around how you pronounce these names. So Sard says
still on that.
It's Yasuke. You don't pronounce the U, Yasuke. And then on the other one, so Kari, who lives in Japan or lived in Japan, says he forgot the H at the end. So it's supposed to be Na-O-E. Na-O-E.
No.
Yeah, you say it all together though, right?
Yeah, you just say it all. Yeah, you just say it together. So yeah, you had it right. So anyway, I pulled up the Ubisoft press site to see if they had any more info here. On here, and this is directly from the press site of Ubisoft, it says switch seamlessly between two unlikely allies as you discover their common destiny. Master complementary playstyles. Create your Shinobi League, customize your hideout, usher in new era. So this says switch seamlessly. So I don't know if they're trying to say.
I imagine in the open world, yeah, but I'm talking about like mission to mission. There's got to be missions where you have to play as one versus the other, right? If their playstyles are different.
Yeah, I mean, those are your options, right? They're either different enough to warrant having two different characters and two different, what did you say, skill trees, Ains? Mm-hmm. Or
it just says switch seamlessly.
Or they're not, and then it's going to be kind of a everything tastes vanilla type of approach to the game. And I think that's the worry. I agree with Dan that I do think you can design these things too broadly that you don't get your ninja feel and you don't necessarily get your samurai feel, because they both have to be within kind of close proximity to each other to design a game this way. And I do wish that they had their own swim lanes, as it were. But
yeah, I think we have to see how it's implemented.
I love watching Ains sigh at them describing their open world as seamless, seamless switching. It's like every press site says that their game is seamless and that their gameplay is visceral, and none of them mean anything. And it's just like,
I know.
what?
I'm reading through all the info right here. This actually cut a lot, but I don't know. Obviously I agree with your guys' concerns, but I think it could be implemented well. If one's a samurai, one's a shinobi assassin, if you're able to kind of utilize both of those, right? I could have fun with that, but I agree with you guys. Cool. It's going to depend how it's implemented. Execution is key, as always.
It sounds like they're also bringing back possibly some of the Brotherhood stuff with the League of Assassins or whatever the hell they're. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
that's Batman.
Oh, that's something of Owls, I think. The Brotherhood.
It says customized for your growing Shinobi League. Yeah, whatever that looks like. Again, I don't know. I'm just reading what it says.
They could have some Empire elements. They're well implemented in Skull and Bones, so they could do that in Assassin's Creed. Sure.
See, they've got a template already. Who the hell knew? Yeah,
Hoag's getting real close to being muted at this point. We're just gonna put a big wheel with a skull in front of his face and just leave him muted. I guess we'll see. We'll see. Right?
Yeah,
we'll know.
That's all we can do.
We're kind of debating about this. We'll have a lot more info and actual gameplay footage here in 3 weeks. So we'll know soon.
I think it's going to sell a lot.
Yes, it is.
I do think they're late to the party. I think there are people that are going to say, I've gotten my ninja or samurai fix in, and it would have been better off a few years back. But it's going to sell a lot. I love Assassin's Creed. I'm in. It's been a number of years since the last Assassin's Creed. So this is easy for me.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's going to sell gangbusters, I think. And I'm pretty sure I got
3-day early access. Don't forget to mention that. Just for trying.
$130, baby.
I too will buy the 3-day early access.
Yeah,
because it's so much earlier than normal.
I'm pretty sure. I've got to check, but I should be able to talk a lot about this because I think I have 90 minutes hands-on with this actually in a few weeks, which would be cool. Okay. So I'll be able to talk about it. Cool. Ubisoft as well announced this week, much to my dismay, that Division Heartland was canceled. So among their fiscal reporting and talking about Skull and Bones and Assassin's Creed Shadows and other things, they announced that Division Heartland was canceled, which is kind of crazy because a former director on the project or former lead developer who's now at Blizzard working on Overwatch commented. He posts on Twitter and he basically said, when we first pitched Heartland, the idea was a battle royale mode for Division 2. Again, if you may remember Division 1, it had the expansion, which was kind of like a mini battle royale survival mode. It was pretty cool, well implemented. If they would have just expanded upon that for Division 2, which I think was the idea, this could have been really good. Sadly, he said Ubisoft and Red Storm, which was the partner developer, had other ideas. Now they fiddled around with this for 4 years and it gets canceled. So complete waste of time. We'll never see this in reality, but pretty frustrating as a Division guy. So.
Nothing is a waste of time. Sometimes in this creative undertaking, we take steps back, but those are lessons learned, Ains. Lessons learned.
You learn just as much failing as you do succeeding.
Sometimes more.
The best teacher.
Which is why I'm so knowledgeable.
I failed more than you guys can possibly imagine.
I have failed more than anybody has even tried.
It does seem like a trend line, though, right? With Last of Us and losing their multiplayer only mode and Division Heartland being a free-to-play canceled on this. There does seem to be a little bit of a pendulum swinging back away from kind of the multiplayer shooter as a workable separate entity from their single-player counterparts. I know Division is
about X-Defiant.
X-Defiant. I don't know enough about X-Defiant to remember it or forget it.
X-Defiant is your Call of Duty competitor from Ubisoft, essentially your arena, small squad, team-on-team shooter with objectives. I tested it last year. It's been in testing for like 2 years. I think it's in season 1 or early access right now. It's launching.
Yeah, it releases in 2 days.
There you go. I was going to say it releases like right now.
Whoa. What?
So,
okay.
Yeah. And I know, I do know that
they're doing the Hellblade marketing strategy of not promoting their game at all. It's pretty cool.
There are like competitive people, in the competitive shooter space that are pretty excited about this, but I don't know what kind of tail at all it's going to have on it. I guess we'll see. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't meaning to laugh at that comment. I was laughing at your description of the upcoming discussion on the college football game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's coming. Real quick, want to shout out Debbie W. Gift him 5 season
Yay.
gaming memberships.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks,
Debbie,
D-Dubs.
you're awesome.
Best, Debbie.
D-Dubs. Debbie, always very generous over here. Thank you so much, Debbie. Appreciate you. And Christopher Jetzer with a comment on this topic, actually.
Oh, nice. $5 super chat from Christopher. Am I a shill because I pre-ordered Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows without seeing gameplay? I know that I'm going to play them. Question mark.
You weren't a shill until you told us about it, Christopher.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly
Now
what I
you
was going to
are.
say, Hogue. You're not a shill for doing those things, but you are a shill for then posting them publicly, super chatting them so that everybody would see it. If you keep
Yes.
it to yourself, you're not a shill. If you promote that you did those things, immediately
With
shill.
money. Yeah.
Hogue's got it right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Outlaws and Shadows are going to do just fine, and I think there's a lot of
Yes.
people that are going to be pre-ordering those games. So you're not out of line, Christopher.
It's what I said earlier. You kind of, to some degree anyway, know what you're getting with these games, right? And I can certainly see even me, who's not, I may not ever finish these games, but I'll know I'll have a good time with them. You know what I mean? For however many hours I play them. So I don't blame you at all. And honestly, this whole thing of like, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but this whole thing of like, am I a shill because I pre-ordered without seeing gameplay, and people saying, oh, you pre-ordered without seeing gameplay? Who cares? Buy whatever the hell you want to buy. It doesn't matter.
It is your money.
Yeah, like why would you care about what someone else tells you about pre-ordering game before seeing
Because
gameplay? If
they
you're excited
could
about
give
an
that
IP,
money, because they could give that money to me.
But they're
How
not going to,
dare
Travis.
you?
It's either Ubisoft or in their pocket. It's not going to
do
you,
whatever
Travis.
you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if
D
I could
needs a new
convince-
kimono.
If
Let's
I
go.
could convince just 10 of my friends to cancel their pre-order and give their money to me instead, I'd be more well-to-do.
Especially if he ordered
You
the
would have
premium
more
editions,
money.
you could retire.
Yeah, I'd have more money. I think
Yeah.
it'd be great. I think
Yeah.
this, guys, homes aren't cheap in San Francisco. Do you want me to
I
be
think
homeless? Is
Outlaws
that what you
and
want?
Shadows are two of the closest things to a guarantee that you can actually pre-order right now. Like the floor is a 7. They're going to be 7s. They might wind up being 7s, but they also have a possibility of being more. But I really
Very
don't
fair.
think Ubisoft doesn't go below that floor, really. It's their kind of
Watch Dogs.
baseline vanilla.
Hey, leave Watch Dogs alone.
Watch Dogs is
Yeah.
definitely below a 7, though. Come on.
No, it's
The
not.
first one was
The
for sure.
first Watch Dogs?
No,
Come
No.
on.
No.
No. What?
no.
Man.
Wow, that's
we're
crazy.
hitting a 7 with Watch Dogs 1. Come
I
on.
don't think so.
You see how many
dude.
years ago Travis had to go into the past to even find a non-7 for
I mean,
Ubi?
let's see.
It's still a 7. Don't take his word for
It's
it.
not
You don't know
a
what he's
7.
talking about.
It is not.
I actually would say it's
Uh,
a pretty pure 7, but
Oh my god.
Thank you, Hope.
Jesus. No,
By the way,
no.
Christy says we used to buy games before the internet and we went off of box art. Exactly. Just play
Yeah.
what the hell you want to play.
box art and a good description. Yeah.
Yep. I definitely
Yeah,
pre-ordered a certain game that came out with the trailer this week for sure. So
Stop
We're
it.
gonna talk
We're
about
not
it.
there. We got one more topic. Hold on.
I know.
Hold that
I'm
thought.
just
Monopoly
Yeah.
Madness.
help Togue build it up.
Hail
Monopoly
to the
Madness.
victors, baby.
That's right, baby.
Ubisoft game Monopoly Madness. I don't think that
We're not talking about that, no. But we, real quick, wanted to talk on 2K because, again, in kind of the vein of the whole fiscal reporting thing. So 2K came out. We have a couple things from them. First is that they're going to unveil the next entry in one of their biggest franchises at Season Game Fest, Summer Game Fest, here in a few weeks.
That's
So,
Season Game Fest. Let's
Season
run
Game
this
Fest
out.
coming June 32nd.
I want to
So
see Ames out there on one of those green screen stages like Jeff Keighley.
oh god,
Welcome to Season Games Fest.
dude, I'd wear orange sneakers though just to be a goofball. I got to show them up.
the Pumas.
But they said that the biggest franchises. So the rumor here is that we may finally see the next BioShock or the next Borderlands. Both have been worked on for a while now. Both are rumored to be getting ready to be shown at some point. So we'll see.
It's going to be the same game. That's my bet. It's
The
called
trick is they
Border
just
Shock.
the trick is they say that they're going to announce the new BioShock and then they just cut the trailer and it's just the Judas trailer.
or it's
I'll
2K25.
I'll take it more of Judas. I
Way
wouldn't
off.
mind seeing more of that, honestly.
All right. What about
Um,
NCAA football?
Stop it. They also talked about Grand Theft Auto 6 releasing. The window is what they're saying, and we've joked about this one before. Fall of 2025, which of course means
always advanced one window.
Fall of 2026. You think?
No, that would be if they only said
window.
2025. One window would be winter 2025 or winter 2026. It's that next window. You increment by what they said. So they say a season, you go one season ahead.
Yeah. Why'd you say 2020 winter 2026 Oh, you mean the beginning of
winter cross
January.
is over.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't think. Go ahead.
I think this game's actually going to come out when they say this.
Okay.
Of course you do.
We'll save this and see what happens. My bet is third quarter 2026.
Wow,
full
you
year
think
later.
way later, huh?
Yep.
Game's already been delayed a couple times. Well, not officially
they
delayed.
canceled
No, it
They
hasn't.
announced it, but yeah.
Not officially.
I
Not
think
officially, but we
2026
know.
is the safer
We
bet.
know that it has been.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. The big thing I want to point out with 2K, and the reason I brought this up is because me being the geek going through all this data, and Don actually asked for this, so I'm going to pull this up briefly just to show something interesting from the gaming industry that we talk about here a lot. Because Dan, you and I were talking about this in-game spending, right? And you were like, but how prevalent is that? I think you said, or something to that nature. Remember we were talking about that this week?
Sure.
This is 2K's fiscal report. So read the second bullet. The largest contributors to net bookings were NBA 2K24 and 23, Grand Theft Auto Online, Grand Theft Auto 5, hyper casual mobile portfolio, Empires and Puzzles, Toon Blast, Red Red Redemption 2 Online, Words with Friends, Merge Dragons. If you read above that, net bookings from recurrent consumer spending accounted for 78% of total net bookings. So 78% of their net bookings was from recurrent spending, which, as you can see at the bottom in the double bullet, is defined as ongoing consumer engagement and includes virtual currency, add-on content, in-game purchases, and in-game advertising.
It's that 2K coins.
Yep.
Oh,
78%.
But what have they released? I mean, I guess you really don't have much
24.
That's about it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Ainge just did a review on one of their games, right? Top Spin, they
Top
just
Spin,
released.
2K25, yeah.
Right, but
Top
this was
Spin
before
just-
that, though.
Top Spin.
Right.
Fiscal quarter-wise, it would be, yeah. But, I mean, the point remains, right, that nearly, and it said decreased, right? So that means in either year over year, if they were talking about the prior quarter, that over 80%, 4/5 of their revenue was in-game spending.
Top
makes
Spin
sense.
also could be like the next Top Gun movie.
Travis is going off the rails here.
Idle.
He'll be all right.
Well, I mean, we're talking about
Travis
golf.
just says what pops into his head. It's okay.
We're talking about Golf War. We're talking about, which, by the way, if it was called Golf War, Ains, as you proposed earlier, I think you would have to call it Rory McIlroy's PGA War.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He's not the one in jail.
Right? Right, guys?
Guys, you still there? Is
Guys,
my mic
anyone?
on?
Rory McIlroy's PGA War?
You can tap that mic.
right.
Oh my god! But I thought that was just
PG.
crazy to see. That they're what we've joked about before, right? They're just living on their in-game stuff and have been.
It's
Which is
why
kinda
I wouldn't
crazy.
hold out much hope for GTA 6 to have a campaign like the old GTAs, but we'll see.
What?
Oh, I don't think their resources went into making a big old Grand Theft Auto campaign. I think it went into making
chance.
whatever would be minimally viable product as a campaign and then an online to sell.
I think
I
you
disagree with you
are,
on that one.
Yeah, I think you're
no
very
way.
you're underestimating how much this prestige studio values its prestige.
Okay. I would be
Good chance.
surprised if it isn't significantly cut back from Grand Theft Auto 5s of the world.
All they've shown so far.
Okay, we'll see. That'll be a good thing to see. I'm pretty confident that you're going to have a big, grandiose story in
think you
Grand
are.
Theft Auto 6. I don't think you can release that game without a grandiose story, but we'll see. I think the bigger question
we
about
will in
Grand Theft
fact
Auto,
see.
yeah, I think the bigger question with Grand Theft Auto 6, right, is how they integrate Grand Theft Auto Online, which is obviously a huge component, has to carry forward all these things. I'm kind of curious to see exactly what they do with that, honestly. We'll see. All right, boys, go ahead, have your fun, have your cake. College football, EA college football is
Oh,
back.
I'm so excited. Let's talk about it.
Right. Hail to the victors, baby.
So you get you on July 19th, you get your rebranded Madden, and you guys can have fun.
The trailer for this game is pretty cool. The graphics of college football look pretty much a lot further on than the last college football game we got. It's almost like they took 10 years off or something. So I'm pretty excited about that upgrade. Is it going to be a rebranded Madden? It is, of course, a rebranded Madden, but they have said the right things in like the little info boxes about how they're going to adapt some of the college football uniqueness to this game. Now, what they're going to do, as Dan rightly said in our chat when this trailer came out, with NIL and contract money requests and things like that is an open question because nobody really knows. But I'm ready to go defend my Michigan Wolverines national championship in a digital format. So let's go.
Yes.
I like Travis. I like that Hogue is always the one to kind of call caution to bullet points of PR releases and press releases. College football, he's like, they're saying the right things. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
No, I have all the trepidation in the world on this, but I want it to be good. And so let's be excited for something.
Wow. That's usually the position I take.
I'm an optimistic person, Travis.
Are you?
Yes.
Who
This
2
is
minutes ago
news
said there
to
won't be a Grand Theft
everyone.
Auto campaign.
I'm waiting for them to come out with high school football. That's my passion.
They have high school
So,
football in the NCAA college football games because you have
do.
create a player that plays a few high school games.
Excuse me, sir. It's not NCAA.
I noticed that actually. You're right. It is college football 25.
I'm waiting for it to get NC AAA. Dan, are you with me on that one?
No.
You don't play it unless it's
This will be
AAA,
the only-
right?
Right.
only
This
play
will be the
AAA.
only AA game.
It's the only AA
this
game
year.
you play is NCAA.
That's actually that's a good
NCAA
tagline. The
25.
only
Good
double A
tagline,
game
yeah.
approved by Dan Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That's right. That's it. Yeah,
Put it
I'm
on
really
the
playing
box.
the hell out of this. There's going to be a lot of. I mean, this will be probably the one game this year that I have most time sunk into, and it's not even going to be close. Because I love.
girl.
It's fantastic. It's just building your dynasty. Back in 2014. I mean, that was one of the most fun things for me. Just growing
Notably
the
with
program.
Denard Robinson on the cover.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it sure was.
Didn't our physical copies of that game still go for decent money up until recently?
They're going
like
for
on
probably over
360?
$100 easy,
Yeah.
if not higher. Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Dan, which
but-
team are you going to use to crush the Wolverines?
I'm going to use the Hawkeyes. I'm going to get my punt game in order. We'll have a huge head start on the tight end / O-line factory for the NFL. And then that's going to be the most fun part. I'll be able to take my guys, the draft class, put them in the Madden 25, go over there and play a few games, and then come back and then do another season.
If I can
be great.
fully steer into the arrogance of the Michigan Wolverine fandom and alma mater here, I would like to say I don't often play as the Michigan Wolverines because I find that to be too easy. So usually
my God.
Usually I
Oh
try-
my
I try
God.
to bring East Carolina up from the
It's
depths.
a weird one. Yeah.
And I'll probably be trying that again in the newest copy of Electronic Arts College Football Game.
Hogue, I almost sent you a photo last night because I was jogging in San Francisco and I saw a big blue M on a yellow flag that I assumed was a Michigan thing. Is that right? Blue M?
A big blue M? No, our
Should've been
big
the
M
other
is
way around.
yellow.
What's the blue M
You
on
can
a
see it over
yellow
my
flag mean?
shoulder.
What does that mean? What team
Big
is
blue
that?
M?
It's got to be a team,
don't-
right?
I don't know.
Probably a team. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I'm glad I didn't send you the photo then. I would have been like, it's not even Michigan. I was like, why is there an M?
It could be a trademark compliant Michigan fan. I don't know.
Fantastic.
There you go.
But clearly, this generated a lot of hype this week. I think for obvious reasons, a lot of, college football has a huge audience. A lot of people excited for this to finally come back in game form. So I am happy for you guys. Bomber's in the chat. He's pumped to hell. I know Mo, who's a Michigan alumni as well, is pumped. And, a bunch of the guys I talked to are pumped for this as well. So be cool.
Yeah,
It's been too
gonna
long.
be great. It's
Yeah.
been too long. A lot of people are waiting for it. And so I think that 10 years is probably what I would like for a cadence of sports games. It gives you enough time to have a big graphical bump, gives you enough time to actually work on the game. I think that the best part of this particular game process is going to be that they knew it would take them years to license everything now that the NCAA is kind of under fire and they had to work with the athletes directly and the conferences directly. So I think they were working on this throughout that legal process, which really only concluded in the last couple of months. And so my hope is that while this undoubtedly started from being a Madden, they've been able to make enough changes to make it really feel like college football.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah.
The trailer looked awesome. I mean, you know, when it went from like "Welcome to the Jungle," and then
that was
the song, and then all of a sudden it went to the band, the college band playing. I mean, that's there's so much atmosphere. That's what makes college football super unique from the NFL. I know for those people that don't watch it, probably don't care, but it is. I mean, I saw the Iowa every game at home. They waved to the Children's Hospital kids who are up there, and they included that in the game.
It's one of my favorites.
It's awesome. You know, I'm hoping they
little touches like that are cool.
Yeah, right. I hope they license some of the music, Mr. Brightside from Michigan, or
they basically have to license Mr. Brightside, I think.
Yeah, you pretty much have to.
By the way,
was that $1?
Sorry, Dan.
Virginia Tech, I think it was.
I was gonna say, doesn't Mizzou have like the biggest drum or something like that?
Hell if I know.
They wheel out. I went to a Mizzou game with my Mizzou buddy alumni, and he's like, "It's the biggest drum ever made," or I don't know, something. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I mean, they rolled a drum around.
Got one claim to fame. You know, that probably is
the best part of the trailer is that the only times that Ohio State is actually referenced is, I think, in them losing to Illinois and getting stiff-armed by Michigan. So that's a heck of a trailer.
That's great.
By the way,
sorry, Ohio State fans.
According to University of Michigan's website,
yes,
a yellow or gold flag with a dark blue M is also known. Both flags are popular and used with enough frequency by the University of Michigan fans alike to be considered part of the UM symbolism, whether or they are officially registered emblems or not. AKA, it's an older code, sir, but they checks out. I think
you might be misreading that. I think that's the university claiming all M's in the world. So that's not unusual for the university.
It says the opposite. It says that the yellow flag with the blue M is known.
Yes, they're saying that they have trademark rights over that as well.
It's not okay.
I just don't think Hogue is really a Michigan fan.
I think
that's
so.
true.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
I've never been able to prove it to anyone, except for all this Michigan paraphernalia on my shelves here.
I don't see anything.
You don't see the national champions right behind the arcade cabinets there?
Oh, so he hopped on the bandwagon this past year, probably. That's what it is.
God.
He's just buying the
bandwagon fan. Knew
the
it.
championship stuff. You know how they do. Yeah.
Fake gamer girl and a bandwagon champ.
Perfect.
I will not even credence this with a response.
That was a response. He credenced it. He credenced it. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got
him. But yeah, July 19th. It's not even that far, boys. 2 months to the day.
Guess what?
We'll have
pre-ordered.
Is it early access?
Yes, it is.
There is early access.
Oh.
I hate you.
It's an EA game. Of course it is. Of course there is.
Nice. So less than 2 months, you'll have your college football. All right. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. That's going to go ahead and wrap us up for today, my friends. So nice. I will say on the SG side of the house, thank you for everyone hanging out with us. I think we hit right around 300 concurrent, which is awesome. Appreciate all of you. Shout out the Crow Country review on the season gaming side. Like I said, Hellblade 2 goes up first thing Tuesday morning. You can check that out. We're putting a lot of effort, probably be our kind of most effort spent on the video review side of this. So I hope you check that out because this is a game. I can't even say anything. Sorry, but yeah, check the video review out. That'll be appreciated. And then I just want to quickly shout out that Mo's article I referenced last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, about Dark Souls for the Dark Soul is still up on the site. I would highly recommend reading that and checking it out. It's a very emotional, kind of a touching article that we put up as part of our Good in Gaming initiative about the loss of his sister and how Dark Souls 3 helped with that. So please check that out. It's fantastic.
It's very, very
Travis,
good.
Thank you. Travis, I will hand to you first this week.
Disney Dreamlight Valley review going to be up this week, probably Wednesday, I'm going to say. Maybe sooner. And then, check out my Greedfall 2 preview if you care about that game at all. And then, Killer Clowns this week is going to be the thing I'm focused on. So look for some killer clowns in your near future. I know I will.
I literally was talking to Miles while we were doing the show. So yeah, hit up Zach. We'll get it sorted out.
Yeah, Miles hit me up as well. Yeah, it's good. It should be fun. Good times.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
Yeah, looks
yeah,
great.
look, I like how specific the title is. Killer clowns from outer space. You know, their country of origin, or their what do you call it? What space a
Country.
country? Space should be a
Country of origin.
country.
Outer
you ever
space
actually
seems like
seen
a
the
pretty
movie?
big category.
I know of the movie. I was actually planning on watching it before the review, just to kind of get some background knowledge.
It is a
It's
a
an old
dated
ass
nowadays.
movie, right?
It's 80s,
like
yeah, early 80s.
80s. Okay, go.
Yeah, I watched it as a
Are they
kid.
in the same family as the Killer Tomatoes?
I don't believe so. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
They
not
get
the
they
Killer.
get they get killer tomatoes thrown at them if they don't do a good enough job being killer clowns. That's the feedback from the audience.
It's a feedback
I don't
loop.
think- Has there been an Attack of the Killer Tomatoes video game? I don't know that there has.
No, but there should be.
Yeah.
Should be.
I'm interested
Oh.
to see how much of the tie-in this is, because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like very plugged into that movie. So am I going to be lost on the plot of the killer clowns?
There's
from
no
outer
plot.
space?
You're killer clowns, and you basically seal people up in cotton candy.
Man,
Yeah, so have fun.
that is. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
This sounds like a Travis game for real.
It
should
does
be
sound
great.
fun.
Should be great.
All right. Yes.
Oh, what you got?
So I definitely wanted to call out that Dr. Mo article. I thought that was really well done, as someone that has been going through various overly emotional connections with his video games as he gets back the ability to play them like he wants to. I thought that he said a lot of the things that I had felt in that article. So I highly recommend everybody give it a look-see, because it's really well written, and I think it's really well done. On my side of the world, in Hoglaw YouTube land, I did a video this last week in Virtual Legality on the TikTok ban law that went into place as part of the omnibus, like, peace through strength bill in Congress, as well as TikTok's lawsuit over it being what amounts to a bill of attainder. And if you don't know what that means, check out the video, because I talk a lot about it extensively in that video, and I think it's an interesting thing to discuss. I also discussed it with David at Prototopics, who you might have seen in chat, on his channel, so you can see that conversation as well. And we're just having a good time talking about lots of interesting things like the FTC and TikTok lawsuits over at Virtual Legality. So come check us out.
Do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
I'd like to shout out Rainbow Sherbet. Been kind of digging it lately, eating quite a bit. So anybody,
I thought that was a My Little Pony for a second.
Rainbow, of all the sherbets, rainbow? Really?
well, I mean, it's like pineapple, orange, and rainbow. It's a little bit
Of
everything.
all the sherbets,
Of all the
Rainbow
sherbets you could
is
pick.
it's such a funny sentence. Of all the sherbets, Rainbow.
Just giving people some ideas.
Yeah, that should be. I want to get a line reading. Like, can we get famous actors to deliver that line in different ways? I want Vin Diesel to deliver that line, because I think he would crush it.
Thought you said
He probably
actors.
would. Yeah.
He's the greatest actor of our
Ouch.
time.
To be fair, the flavors you just said are better than the old school crap 80s rainbow sherbet, I believe. That we
Oh,
used
yeah,
to
that's
get as
garbage.
kids.
No,
Yeah.
this is good stuff.
Okay,
Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
Of all the sherbets.
Of all the sherbets, Dan.
Of all the sherbets in all the world, you had to go Rainbow. Stupid sentence.
We end on Foodcast as always. Chat, you've been awesome. Audio listeners, appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. We will see you next week with probably some talk on not only the news, but Summer Game Fest final predictions as we get into the summer season, man. Looking forward to it. So have a good week, everybody, with your games. Enjoy your time. We will see you then. Peace.